होंगे तो कल का कर ली।
ठीक है।
अच्छा, ये आवाज आया रिकॉर्डिंग इन प्रोग्रेस, रिकॉर्डिंग इन
ओके
प्रोग्रेस।
सर।
रिकॉर्ड
हम्म।
हो रहा है, एवरीवन इज हैप्पी। But we'll start with yesterday's. Uh, Yesterday, one person was balanced, na?
हम्म।
Yeah, Pragya. Pragya was balanced, and where is that screenshot? This is the is this the screenshot? No, this is download 13. Okay, no, not this. This is- Okay. Um, can everybody see this? This is clear. Pragya, you're on mute.
Sir, not audible, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes. As of now, okay.
Yeah, Pragya is not audible. I think you have to unmute yourself.
Pragya, you are not audible.
Hello?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah, is this screen sharing thing coming up for you?
Yeah, sir. Everything is
Yeah.
visible.
So shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, what is the duty of Chief Assistant Director in pre-production, production, and post-production? So, Chief Assistant Director or the first Assistant Director helps in various important aspects of filmmaking. They are involved in all the three stages of production. In pre-production stage, scheduling. First AD helps in maintaining the order of the shots. How are they supposed to be shot and matching the timing with the actors, checking for the availability of the equipment, and maintain other important aspects like transportation, storage, order fulfillment. Maintaining call sheets. First AD creates call sheets for all the actors as per their role, decide locations for the sets and everything essential, important for the cast and crew. Understanding the director's vision. First AD has to go through the script, understand the requirements of the script, its demand and its plan accordingly. They have to understand what the director is visualizing and the vision for the film. In production stage, maintenance. First ADs are required to maintain almost everything that's included in the shooting process. They maintain the time, location, props, and keep in check if everything is running in time and correctly. Call time. First ADs are required to be in sync with the actors and coordinate with their timings accordingly. So there is no chaotic situation while shooting. They maintain the call time of everyone on the set. In post production, summarizing, first ADs check if everything is done correctly, or we can see uh, wrapped up, or we can say wrapped up correctly, then ensure if every equipment is returned and reached properly, and finalizing all the necessary paperwork that is required.
Yeah. So you have actually, the question is, what is the duty of chief assistant director in pre-production, production, and post-production? Now, on your own, you made a connection between the chief assistant director or the first
Yes,
assistant
sir.
director.
I thought that's the same thing.
No, that's a kind of technically these are two different posts involved. No, uh, the hierarchy is the director, and if there is any co-director, then or if there is an associate director, and then there is this chief assistant director, and then there is this first assistant director. है ना? So then the second, the third, and stuff like that. So that the first assistant director would report to the chief assistant director, who would
Yeah,
report
sir.
he would report to the director, kind of a thing. So as you rightly, the chief assistant director uh, implements what the director implements the film, helps the director implement the film, and it's absolutely essential that, as you have rightly pointed out, um, giving this attribute to the first AD director. But the chief assistant director has to know the mind of the director and the vision of the director and stuff like that. Uh, so otherwise, this confusion is a problem, is an issue, you know, and and it, and I guess it will be rectified in your thought process and stuff like that.
Yes.
He maintains the order of the shots. First, scheduling. Okay, he schedules the order. He makes the order according to the scheduling and stuff like that. Availability of the actors. Uh, yeah, absolutely. Scheduling is most important thing. Then you talk about maintaining call sheets. First AD call sheets for all the actors. Creates call sheets for as per the role. Decide location for a set, pre-decided location. So you have actually missed out on the location hunting and all those things, and these kinds of
Yes, sir.
little things you could have
So
added.
that I've included in the B part, a small portion. Decide locations for the set and everything essential, important for
Mm,
cast and crew.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a very important call sheet
Yes.
for all the actors. Decide locations for the sets. Um, okay, okay. So it could have made clear he has to scout locations. If he had mentioned the word, he has to scout locations and scouting locations. Why I'm telling you, there is a slight confusion here. Scouting locations according to the script um, is a bit different from deciding after the scouting. You decide which location to shoot first and stuff like that. That's a separate activity. Am I getting across? First, you have to scout a location, and the locations are fixed, right? And then once you're making the schedule, then you have to look at the order of the shots and decide among the locations that are selected. Then you decide which location for the set you would want to shoot first. These are two separate things. Yeah. So so there is a slight confusion of language in there. Decide locations for the set. By decide like locations for the set, you mean scout the locations. Is that it? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that could have been worded in a much clearer way.
Yes,
So,
sir.
so I think this piece was done very hurriedly. Is that it?
Yes, so the whole assignment was done a bit hurriedly.
Very essay kind of a thing. So the confusion a little bit sure.
Yes.
Um, he he has to go through this. He or she has to go through the script, understand the requirement of the script, and which is called and which is called the breakdown. You have to break it down. You can break it down. The production guys break them down according to the production need, but you have to break it down in terms of properties, in terms of costumes, in terms of number of scenes and locations and things like that, and 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 uh, and uh, and therefore, why is the breakdown necessary? As you have rightly pointed out, plan so that they can be planned accordingly. The availability of the actors, the availability of the sets and the locations and the stuff like that. You know?
Hmm.
So in the production stage, you say maintenance. First, it is so I'll just replace this. Chief assistant directors are required to maintain almost everything that's included in the shooting process. What do you mean by that? Maintain?
So like regulating the time and actors and everything that is happening on the set.
They maintain the time, the location, the property, keep in check if everything is running in time and correctly. Now, now what if I say that this role is the job of the production manager?
So
Who
it's a very generic way of writing.
so there, there should be some thought given as to what exactly, because it's always the production guy who's sitting on that. Arey sir, time ho gaya, short nahi liya aapne, no, that kind of a thing.
Yes, sir.
Maintaining of the time and stuff like that is primarily a headache of the production guy. Of course, the chief assistant, then he or she would be in tandem with the chief assistant director, and then normally they act together. And then the chief, then he or she comes and tells the chief assistant director, we have to pack up by 5 o'clock. We have 4 more shots left, and then the chief assistant director hurries things up and stuff like that, as far as possible. So there should be a distinction between the role of the associate director and the production controller, or the not the producer but the production controller of the location. So that is one observation that I have. Then call time. He or she decides the call time. You know?
Mm.
They're required to be in sync with the actors and coordinate with their timings and stuff like that. That's also part of the scheduling. You know? And accordingly, there is no chaotic situation while the shooting. You know? So
Mhm.
who comes what, correct, absolutely correct. Who comes at what time? If the scene number of a particular character is there, uh, is the first shot, and what is the timing that is required for him or her to come? And if another character is shot number 5 or shot number 7 in the day, and he or she could come a little later, and this, I think you are talking about these kinds of stuff, is it? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I think a little bit more elaboration could have helped in this answer. You know? Yeah, as you have rightly pointed out, it's a very generic kind of a answer. You know, basically, a little more thought and a little more time could we could have.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we'll go for the next one.
Yes, sir.
Mm,
What are the advantages of attending a film festival?
mm,
Attending a film festival provides you a very enchanting experience if you are a movie buff. If it brings people from various backgrounds together for sharing similar interests and therefore creating a magical environment to learn and explore more opportunities. As a film enthusiast myself, and also having the opportunity to have attended it, I can say that film festivals are full of new and exciting experiences. There are film screenings, workshops, celebrity interviews, question and answer rounds, and so on. You get to interact with people of different mindsets and get to know their perspective regarding a specific film and the overall introspection related to it. If you have participated in the film festival, you get to showcase your craft in front of so many people like the audience, including industry, professional critics, and general moviegoers. It gives you a chance of networking and collaborating with so many amazing people like filmmakers, producers, distributors, and other industry professionals. Attending provides opportunities to network with key players in the film industry, potentially opening doors for collaboration, distribution deals, or future projects. Knowing about the industry, you get to see and know about the industry from a closer lens and get to know how films work. You can question different filmmakers who have attended and ask them about their individual journey and all the questions you have in your mind. You can also ask questions from the directors who have participated in the festival and ask about the motivation for the idea of the film, challenges regarding the scenes, and so much more. You get to widen your perspective and learn more about your craft, and more about your craft helps to boost your morale and confidence. Helps in knowing about distribution opportunities. Screening in film festivals can attract the attention of distributors, potentially leading to distribution deals that bring your film a broader audience. Film festivals, especially major ones, attract international attention. Having your film selected for such film festivals can lead to opportunities for international distribution and recognition. From a marketing point of view also, you get to know how to make a film successful. You may get in terms with the actuality of the industry, and therefore knowing about these aspects will shape you and your craft.
Yeah. So in the last paragraph, you said having your film selected for such festivals can lead
Mm.
to opportunities for international distribution and recognition. No, because you're saying the distributors would be there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's there in the first line. So fair enough. You have three major points here. One is this whole paragraph is talking about
Opportunities.
networking, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get to know people, you get to know your audience, and things like that. And that's the opportunity that you're talking about, by and
Hmm.
large. You interact with people, same mindset, different mindset, you know, and
Yes,
uh,
sir.
and you can showcase your craft. And then you talk about learning process. You learn from, you get to
Hmm.
know about the industry, you get to know about the films
Yes, sir.
and the purposes involved, and that's, you say, it boosts the morale and stuff like that, which is also fair enough. And then of course you have the distribution uh,
Hmm.
aspect of it. So
Yes.
this is a fair enough answer. There are other opportunities. You have been to festivals, film festivals.
Yes, sir. A couple of them.
Which
Not only
one?
one film festival and one session from the other film festival.
Which one did you attend?
So in Dehradun, I attended one. Dehradun Film Festival.
So it was an all India festival, or
Yeah, it was an international film festival, but yeah, it was a
yeah,
normal. Yeah.
yeah. So um, uh, so if you get an opportunity, do visit other festivals also. If there's an opportunity and a scope for it.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
you're based in Dehradun, is it?
Yeah, currently, yes, sir.
Yeah, you're studying there or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a film festival could be a little more than what you have just described. Film festival can
Yeah.
also, for example, start a film movement. You know, as it happened in France, the new wave film,
Acha. Mm.
film wave, or the new American new independent film, American film actually
Mm.
kicked off because some of it's in the late in the early 2000.
Dogma 95 also started somewhere around then, no?
Yeah, so Dogma,
Late
I think 1995 or something like that,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. And they all use this film festival to showcase, start the own. They come to the stage and they say, they make a manifesto and saying all the earlier films that have been done till now is all bakwas, and this is what we are doing, and this is our manifesto. And every 4 or 5 years or 6 years, one such manifesto will be released in any film festivals and stuff like that. I was talking about new independent American cinema, and it basically kicked off because Sundance Film Festival selected a few three or two or three of them, and then they figured out low budget new independent filmmaking in not in Hollywood but in the Western Coast in New York and stuff like that, and that became a movement later on. Um, of course, inspired by Dogma, as you rightly pointed out. So the scope of film festivals is a large one, and I suggest all of you, if you get a chance and whenever there's an opportunity, if you're traveling to Delhi or if you're traveling to Goa or wherever, or Calcutta, Calcutta is a film festival.
Yeah, so there's one in January only there's a film festival.
Yeah,
Somewhere around 14 or 15.
yeah. So you just go there and figure out what's happening and stuff like that. Not only for this question paper, but also for the rest of your life. Huh?
Hmm.
So we'll go for the next one.
Yes, sir. So
Yeah.
in this one, I actually confused indie with India. I
Of course.
Mhm. So yeah. If you're indie film director and made your first film, how will you organize the publicity for your film? If I'm making my first film in an Indian industry like ours, a majority of how I will organize my publicity depends on the budget of the film. In many cases, first timers are not given much higher budgets, so I feel it will be a challenging yet exciting task to promote my film. There are certain things that I will ensure. Firstly, I feel the story or the logline should make an exemplary tagline of its own, as content is the king in times like today. If the story speaks of itself, then it will be able to publicize itself in the first place. If we create stories that will capture the attention of those minds who are not able to keep their points in front of others, then the story shall gain an audience by itself. Secondly, we can consider doing Nukkad Nataks about the theme and not the plot in domain related areas so that people get attracted towards the concept and more attention goes towards our theme and then eventually promoting it. Thirdly, posters and trailers, which are important elements if you are talking about publicizing a film, should be created in a way which instantly grabs the attention of the viewers and is able to excite them for the upcoming film. Their visuals should look compelling. Next, I feel social media is an important medium of promotion in today's time, so it can also play a huge role. We can use different social media platforms, involve influencers to promote our film, reach collaborators or reviewers. Next, we may gather support from the local community or local newspapers, radio stations, and community events can be excellent avenues for building support. Lastly, I feel film festivals also play a huge role. We have an opportunity to show our talent to people from all over the industry and may also gain distribution opportunities, which may play a huge contributing factor. To conclude, I will say that publicizing is a crucial aspect of the film as it helps us to gain a reach for our film and will help to make it successful. We as filmmakers aspire that our films reach more and more people, and therefore publicizing it makes our film known and help us to reach out to people from other production houses and collaborators, which may help us grow and learn more.
Yeah. So the question would be the indie film. It doesn't make a difference that you have thought that this is an
Yeah.
India. India is India. You know?
That first line only, I just mentioned it, and yeah.
So in any case, you say what is an independent film? What is an indie film? What is an indie means independent. You know?
Yeah,
So
independent.
what is
I
it?
got to know
What is
from
it?
the other answer.
What is it independent of? I mean, why is it? Why are what
Because
are
you film it on your own, you make a budget on your own and do everything by own.
Yeah, so
That's
the history of independent filmmaking is closely related to the big production houses or the studio system. You know what is a studio system? All of you, the studio
no, sir.
system is where earlier there's no longer studio system existing now. There are individual corporate houses or individual producers all over in Hollywood that and stuff like that. Earlier, there used to be huge studios like MGM Studios, United Artists Studios, where people used to be employees of MGM, you know, actors, from actors to producers to light boys. Everyone used to be an employee. You know, no one was like a star or something like that. Of course, there were actors and there were stars and stuff like that. Acting, major actors, stuff like that. So everyone was an employee. Now, if you are shooting a film outside this studio setup, and then it was called an independent film. So nowadays, the studio system no longer exists as it was existing in the earlier era, but the names are still there. MGM is still there. It's a large corporate houses, a
Hmm.
big production houses. And if you are shooting a film outside this big production house, outside Yes Raj or outside
Hmm.
um,
Then it's called an indie film.
indie film, that, as you rightly pointed out, you are
Yes.
making your own film and stuff like that. And therefore you're rightly pointed out that it's a very low budget. The budgets are not very high because
Hmm.
you've taken your father's money, your mother's money, or your
Hmm.
uncle's money, or crowdfunded or something like that.
Hmm.
So you have basically what is the film that you are talking about? Indie film director, publicity of what kind of film you are talking about? Are you talking about a short film? Or are you talking about a feature film? I think you are talking about a
Feature
feature film,
film.
right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So like you say initially that the story is important, and the tagline. Therefore, the tagline becomes important, and you have set it right very well. You know, initially itself, in the initial stages also, you should have made it clear that this is a feature film or this is a short film. So then everything would fall into place. Because how do you
Yes.
publicize a short film would probably be different from how do you publicize a documentary, for example,
Would it have been better if I mentioned the genre also of the film? Like,
yes, yes.
if there's a the thriller feature film that I'm planning, and then start writing the whole answer,
Yeah,
then would it
absolutely.
match?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the more context that you give to your question and answer, then it is better. Because it's there in your thought process itself. What are you doing when you are saying the first thing that you say is you have to have a tagline. And why do you need a tagline? Because it's a story that is important. That means
Mm.
you're giving a context to it, you know. So
Mm.
therefore, if you give a context of what sort of films uh, is your film, and is it a long film, short film, is it a thriller, and what is the genre and stuff like that, and probably the marketing would be different for each of these. You know?
Mm.
So if you're doing a mythological film, you would go park yourself in Ayodhya right now. You know?
So I didn't hear that.
if you're making a mythological film, you know,
Yeah.
you would park yourself in Ayodhya right now. You know?
Acha, हाँ.
And do nukkad nataks in Ayodhya, you know, about
Yeah.
about your subject. So it
That's a
makes a
good
difference.
idea.
So it makes a difference. So you talked about log lines, you talked about nukkad nataks, you know, and you talked about posters and stuff like that, trailers and stuff like that. Then you talked about social media platforms, you know,
Mm.
you've gone, and then local communities, you know. Suppose you're making a film, Revati, you know Revati, actress Revati.
Yes, sir.
इंग्लिश
Revati
इंग्लिश
Pillai.
इंग्लिश
Yes, sir.
Revati made a film on HIV/AIDS.
Acha,
फिर
no.
मिलेंगे
Inspired by Philadelphia.
फिर
Inspired with
मिलेंगे
I forgot the name of the film. Salman
फिर
Khan was
मिलेंगे
there.
फिर मिलेंगे
Fir Milenge. So what she did was she used, because of the subject matter, she used the whole network of HIV/AIDS for doctors and positive
चल
people
रही
and
है
stuff like
क्लास
that.
अच्छा
So these kinds of if you have the subject matter in hand in your answer, then all these things would have been concretized. Now what's happening is a very generalized kind of a thing, you know.
Mm.
So but it's you covered everything. But if you had some specific element to it, the context given to it, then it would have made quite a difference. You know, quite a difference.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this last thing, you have documentary film, you have not
Yes.
figured it out, you know. Okay.
No.
Cool. So I will Tanvi will if you have written it, we'll see it later. Because you're not submitted it, right. If you have time, we'll do it after the today's submission. Huh?
ओके सर
Yeah, I'll stop this screen sharing. Then what I'm supposed to do is I have to close this, and then I have to open this classroom 13 plus 14. 13 plus 14. I have to screen share again. Sorry about this, sir. I'm a digital migrant. Yeah. Can you see this? All of you?
Yes, sir.
I said I'm a digital migrant. All of you are digital natives. You're born into the digital world. So I was born into the analog world and I migrated into the digital world. So I find it a bit difficult sometimes to negotiate in this world. है ना? Don't
सर
mind.
एक्चुअली मैं तो डिजिटल वर्ल्ड में होने कभी कभी मुझे भी ऐसी प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं डिजिटल चीजों में
So anyway, don't mind. So we'll start with the second this lot of questions. So Tanvi, yeah, start.
Okay, sir. So choose any two filmmakers whom you consider as great and mention 6 to 8 points why they are considered great. So I chose Rajkumar Hirani and obviously Maniatnam. Okay. So while talking about Rajkumar Hirani, that why he is such a great filmmaker. So the first is engaging storytelling. राजकुमार हिरानी की फिल्में में स्टोरीज काफी इंटरेस्टिंग वे में बताई जाती हैं बिकॉज ऑफ विच दे आर हैविंग अ ग्रेट रिपीट वैल्यू ईच एंड एवरी एवरी सीन उनका जो होता है वो 3 एक्ट स्ट्रक्चर पे बना होता है, मतलब मोस्टली फिल्म 3 एक्ट स्ट्रक्चर पे होती है कि उनका एक सीन 3 एक्ट स्ट्रक्चर पे होता है, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस एवरी सीन हैज अ स्पेशल इम्पैक्ट. Now the second point is social relevance. The best feature of Rajkumar Hirani is his way of portraying social issues in an entertaining way. Like Munna Bhai MBBS में medical field के flaws और 3 Idiots में Indian education system के flaws. Okay. Now the third point is blending mass and class cinema. The reason Rajkumar Hirani is a great filmmaker is the blending of quality storytelling with a mass appeal, which has resulted in this tremendous box office successes. Fourth is character building. इनकी फिल्मों के लीड कैरेक्टर्स जो होते हैं दे आर वेरी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द पीपल इन द सराउंडिंग, जिसके कारण लोग उनसे काफी अच्छी तरीके से कनेक्ट हो जाते हैं. लाइक इन द फिल्म मुन्ना भाई MBBS, मुन्ना's perspective about प्रोफेशन ऑफ डॉक्टर्स वाज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द अदर कैरेक्टर्स, जिसके कारण मुन्ना के कैरेक्टर को लोग काफी ज्यादा पसंद करने लगे थे बिकॉज ऑफ द डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव ही हैड. And the fifth is collaboration with the actors. The actors shown in Rajkumar Hirani films get into the skin of the characters. जिसका सबसे अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है फिल्म संजू का, जिसमें रणबीर कपूर ने इतनी अच्छी एक्टिंग की थी that in some scenes people were confused that whether it's Ranbir Kapoor acting or Sanjay Dutt himself is in the scene. So I can say that in Rajkumar Hirani movies actors काफी realistically act करते हैं. And same went for Paresh Rawal and Manisha Koirala in the same film. वो उन्होंने भी अपना जो respective उनके characters थे, उनके लुक काफी ज्यादा अच्छे थे, अच्छी तरह सबकी एक्टिंग अच्छी थी उस फिल्म में, क्योंकि वो सब अपने अपने कैरेक्टर्स की स्किन में बहुत बढ़िया तरीके से थे रियल लाइफ कैरेक्टर्स को पोर्ट्रे करते हुए. नाउ द सिक्स्थ पॉइंट दैट मेक्स हिम ग्रेट इज फिल्म्स आर रीमेड इनटू वेरियस इंडस्ट्रीज. लाइक हिंदी सिनेमा जिस तरह से अलग अलग लैंग्वेजेस से फिल्में कॉपी करने में के लिए क्रिटिसाइज किया जाता है, राजकुमार हिरानी इज द फिल्म मेकर हुज फिल्म्स आर ऑफन रीमेड इन द साउथ इंडियन सिनेमा और द इंटरनेशनल फिल्म्स. Like 3 Idiots was remade in Tamil as Nanban and also in the Mexican language.
No, yeah, just hold on. So basically,
Yeah.
we have taken 6 to 8, and 6 points you have taken, which is fair enough and self-engaging, self-explanatory, engaging storytelling, So
Yeah.
how you're saying it's engaging because it's in a 3 act structure, by and large. वो एकदम tight 3 act structure नहीं है राजकुमार हिरानी का. Like as in the case of Hollywood films and stuff like that, there is a 3 act structure, but there is a loose kind of a 3 act structure. Most Indian films, apart from the ones which are that have come off recently and bigger type, but there's a difference between a very compact 3 act structure and a loose 3 act structure. So Rajkumar Hirani's films have these structure, but it's a very loose kind of a thing. But in your opinion, the 3 act structure makes it engaging. So,
Yeah.
so that is the logic is clear. But I would ask you to do a little more study on Indian films and the 3 act structure used in the Indian films. Indian films
ठीक है.
are by and large, Indian films are based on the 5 act structure, which is
अच्छा.
what is envisaged in the Natya Shastra. नाट्य शास्त्र का प्ले में काफी सारे एक सिंगल एक्ट है, 5 act है, एक 8 act है, and stuff like that. But 5 act is what basically.
Okay, Natya
but
Shastra.
yeah, but even the 5 act can be divided into 3 act, but his films, Rajkumar Hirani's films, like most of other Indian mainstream films, are not tightly. For example, like Hitchcock, they're not tightly knitted 3 act structure. That differentiation you'll have to figure out. Social relevance you have talked about, absolutely correct. Now this is one thing. Mass and class is something that I can't fathom. I mean, I can't understand. Because I can understand, but I can't understand from the answer that you have given. So what do you mean by mass? You probably have to a little bit. You have to give an explanation. When you say mass, mass appeal, what do you mean?
Mass appeal means the way of presenting the thing that it becomes appealing for the public.
हाँ तो ठीक है, ये जेनरिक हो गया ना आंसर. तो कैसे अपीलिंग होता है?
ये तो मुझे नहीं मालूम.
हाँ तो ये थोड़ा सा आप otherwise क्या हो जाता है? These are phrases that are being used by everyone, and then we are using that. Unless we think about mass appeal. For me, mass appeal would be of me or for larger other people, mass appeal would be आप एक गाना डाल दो, एक कैबरे डाल दो, एक आइटम नंबर डाल दो, वो भी तो मास अपील है।
हाँ
ईरानी नहीं करता है ना, आइटम नंबर डालता है नहीं ना।
मुन्ना भाई MBBS में there was one cabaret song.
There was cabaret song ना, so ये सब you'll have to think about these kinds of things. By and large, उसका फिल्म में ये सब मतलब है ना, so mass appeal, so it means then you have to define what a mass appeal is, है ना? So and then according to your definition of mass appeal, does Rajkumar Hirani engage in that or not, है ना? इसीलिए this reason is a bit depth नहीं है उसमें ना, so it looks like है ना, it looks like although this reason you have given an impact. It is interesting because it's in a 3x structure. That your reasoning is there, है ना? Whether it's an apt reasoning or not, it's a different matter. No? But that's what you feel, because the question is, what do you feel? Why do you consider? Why do you consider? Okay. So the moment you get into specifics, then the people will understand, yeah, this person knows what she is talking about. You know? So that otherwise it becomes just phrases. Okay. So let us somebody's. Okay, so Mani Ratnam, yeah.
Okay. While talking about Mani Ratnam, हम ये कह सकते हैं that उनका फिल्म मेकिंग तरीका कैसे अलग है, वो भी 80s के टाइम से, या सो उनकी फिल्म मेकिंग का सबसे अच्छा वो है दैट उनकी फिल्म मेकिंग काफी ज्यादा इनोवेटेड है. लाइक हिज फिल्म इंडस्ट्री, तमिल एंड हिंदी सिनेमा इज ऑफन डोमिनेटेड बाय द मसाला मूवीज, बट मनी रत्नम इज द फिल्म मेकर हु वाज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द लीग, एज हिज फिल्म वाज मोर अबाउट unconventional and impactful storytelling and paying attention to the visual storytelling. Like visual storytelling पे मनी रत्नम was the first director जिन्होंने ट्रेंड सेट किया visual storytelling, impactful cinematography ऐसे.
Then you read what is written, है ना?
Right. Okay. Second is cinematic brilliance. Mani Ratnam has always collaborated with the best technicians of every department. His films have been visually appealing because of his camaraderie with the best Indian cinematographer Santosh Sivan, whose each and every frame is brilliant in films like Dil Se to Ravnan. Or his collaboration with Ilya Raja for his films like Nayakan to Thalapati, or A.R. Rahman for from the melodies of Roja to Ponniyin Selvan. Now the third reason is the portrayal of women in Mani Ratnam films. In Mani Ratnam films, women were not just used for glamour, but they have a strong presence. Like in his 1990 movie Anjali, actress Revati played a role of a mother who was suffering from emotional turmoil because of her mentally challenged little girl. And in this movie Roja, the lead actress Madhu was shown to counter any danger just to save her husband, who is kidnapped by the terrorists in the film Roja. And the fourth is romance. The romance in Mani Ratnam films has been very realistic and subtle by showing deep emotions and the chemistry between the actors, as well as it showed different dynamics of love, like he showed the compassionate love of compassionate love angle of an old couple in his movie O Kadhal Kanmani, or he even showed obsessive kind of love in the movie Dil Se. Okay. Niche. Yeah. The fifth is child emotion. Using the child emotion has given a weight to the narrative of his films. Like he showed the plight of the children separated from their parents during the riots in the movie Bombay, or in the movie Nayagan, there was an iconic scene in which Kamal Hassan's grandson innocently asks him that whether he is a good person or a bad person. Ninga Nallavara Kettavara was the iconic dialogue, which show, and these kinds of things shows the perspective of the kids in the narrative of the conflicts. मतलब I have read कि चाइल्ड इनोसेंस सबसे ज्यादा प्योर इमोशन होता है, तो इससे एक इमोशनल वेट बढ़ता है. एंड सिक्स्थ इज visual storytelling. The thing which make Maniratnam unique is the use of metaphors in this film, which subtly tells a lot about the film narrative, like the character or the film situation is used by symbolism.
हाँ, तो ये इसमें भी आपने 6 लिखा. ये क्या 500 वर्ड्स है दोनों मिला के रफली.
दोनों मिला के 500 हुआ.
हाँ, तो
मैं
ये
540 के अराउंड हुआ है, मतलब मैंने.
हाँ, अच्छा ठीक है. तो ये आपका सेकंड पॉइंट जो है सिनेमैटिक ब्रिलियंस जो है, जो सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी है ना. आपने म्यूजिक हो या कैमरा हो या म्यूजिक हो, यू हैव टेकन 2 एग्जांपल्स है ना. स्टफ
Yeah.
व्हिच इज फेयर इनफ है ना, लॉजिकल इनफ. पोर्ट्रेल ऑफ वुमेन आपने सही बोला है ना. तो there is a existence to women characters, and they have their own identity in most of these films, especially in Rosa, for example, है ना. और इन अंजलि and things like that, है ना. तो ये भी सही बोला. ये चाइल्ड की इमोशंस का भी सही बोला आप. वो वुमन, वन ऑफ द रीजंस व्हाई मणिरत्नम फिल्म इज ऑल्सो मोस्ट सक्सेसफुल इज दैट देयर आर वुमेन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, देयर आर चाइल्ड पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. पूरा फैमिली आ गया ना आपका थिएटर में. तो ये सही बोला.
he made two very great child centric films, अंजलि and कनाथल मुत्तामितल. मतलब जिस
Yes.
जो पूरे child centric ही है, मतलब इसमें.
Yeah, even the example that you give of Nayakan, which is not a child film, not a children's film, but that perspective is still there, you know. So ये दोनों कैरेक्टर, ये दोनों पॉइंट जो आपने बोला एकदम सही निकला है. एंड रोमांस, एंड इट इज नॉट जस्ट रियलिस्टिक रोमांस. आपने बोला सही पकड़ा आपने, रियलिस्टिक रोमांस है, एंड वो अलग अलग किस्म के रोमांस है. एंड देयर इज एन ओल्ड कपल रोमांस एंड ऑब्सेसिव लव एंड ऑल those things. All those things are there.
And there was a film, like in his one film, जिसमें कभी ऐसा दिखाया जाता है कि मतलब two terminally ill people are in love. वो फिल्म मैं देखी नहीं. I want to see Geetanjali also.
Geetanjali, yeah, true, very true, very true. So the other two aspects, number one that you talked about, innovative filmmaking and visual storytelling. You could have a bit expanded on visual storytelling.
Yeah.
I tell you, he does visual storytelling. And if you had given one example, for example,
Ayutha Ezutu, sir. Ayutha Ezutu was a great example of visual storytelling, जिसके बारे में मैंने एक दो बार बात की थी कि मतलब इसमें कैरेक्टर के कॉस्ट्यूम और कैरेक्टर की एक पर्टिकुलर उसमें सराउंडिंग से दिखाया जाता है कि ये कैरेक्टर की पर्सनालिटी कैसी है.
हाँ, so if you have given that example in 1 or 2 lines, which you had I believe you have the scope in terms of words and stuff like that, and this thing would have been a little more concrete. Or even if you take Nayakan, there is this water cannon sequence, you know, water cannon sequence, and the people are running helter skelter, and there is this one Nayakan who comes there and braves the water, you know. That itself shows his character, the resilience and stuff like that, and that's a very visual kind of a thing, you know. What you
जैसे
call
थालापति was also a very great film of him. मतलब वो जिसमें रजनीकांत जो होता है उनका कैरेक्टर का नेम होता है सूर्य, और मतलब वही काफी अग्रेसिव कैरेक्टर दिखाया जाता है, और उनका कैरेक्टर जो होता है वो सूर्यपुत्र करण के ऊपर होता है. तो फिर उस थालापति फिल्म में रजनीकांत के कैरेक्टर की सराउंडिंग्स में कई बार सन को दिखाया गया, मतलब काफी ज्यादा ये सब. तो फिर मतलब उनकी पर्सनालिटी को सूरज से डिनोट किया गया है. मतलब ये भी देख सकते हैं दैट उनकी फिल्मों में एलिमेंट्स ऑफ द नेचर जो हैं वो काफी ज्यादा अच्छे से दिखाए जाते हैं, जिसके बारे में मैंने एक जगह काफी पढ़ा था बॉम्बे फिल्म के बारे में.
So what I'm saying in this article, you could have given an example of it, quoting a particular sequence, which should have made your answer a little bit complete, you know? So you missed out little bit. You missed out in number 6, visual storytelling, and you had the scope to do it. Now let's come to the first point. This is innovative. Again, what do you mean by masala movies?
One of the complete mainstream films like which shows hero worship and all that, लेकिन मतलब थोड़ी सी अनरियलिस्टिक काइंड की लगती है. जैसे कि मतलब आजकल जो ट्रेंड चल रहा है, मतलब उसमें तो कई सारे लोग ऐसे भी कहते हैं कि अरे अब कोई सिर्फ लोग मसाला एक्शन फिल्में ही देखेंगे, अब तो कोई किसी दूसरे जॉनर की फिल्में ही देखना चाहता. मतलब ऐसा कुछ लोग कहते हैं. लेकिन मतलब तो ये है कि आई लाइक मणिरत्नम बिकॉज ऑफ दिस दैट कि वो जो है मतलब उनकी फिल्मों में इस किस्म का वो होता है, और इतना डीप उनकी फिल्मों में दिखाया जाता है चीजें कि उसके बारे में मैंने पढ़ा भी बहुत कुछ है, मतलब पूरी रिसर्चेस की हैं.
हाँ, तो आपने 2 शब्द यूज किया. एक तो अनरियलिस्टिक यूज किया, and दूसरा शब्द use किया, there is one more word that you used which defines
Hero worship.
Hero worship. Hero worship and unrealistic. If according to you, if these two or three things are there, then it becomes a masala movie, unrealistic. So if you had put in those words and explained what these masala movies are, and then it would have made it. You have assumed that the reader will know, but of course I know because we have been around. But you can't assume, your definition of masala movies might be different, There are masala art film movies, in the sense, there is a masala to make an art film movie, So there is a formula and a masala to make art film movies. For a person to hold that view, then masala movies might mean different, If you're talking about masala movies in mainstream cinema and with all those ingredients that you talk about, and that meaning would be different. So therefore, it is necessary for you to define, if you're using such phrases, briefly you need to define what do you mean by masala movies. So you could have probably written Hindi and Tamil cinema is often dominated by masala movies that cater to hero worship and that are unrealistic in nature. But Mani Ratnam film was different from them or something like that. Then you're clear, absolutely clear, that kind of thing. Otherwise you keep, अरे यार ये phrase कौन सी phrase है, ऐसा फेंक रहा है, phrases, ऐसा लगेगा, although it is not meant. What you have done is just you have assumed that the other person would know this. Assume that the other person would know your meaning, the meaning that you have in your head. So it is better to, whenever possible, it is better to clarify, and that holds good in filmmaking also. That you clarify what is there in the film. Okay? So we'll go for the next one. Choose any two filmmakers.
Okay. I chose सत्यजीत रे, whose film जिनकी एक फिल्म को हमारे कॉलेज में दिखाया जा चुका है, and second one is अदूर गोपाल कृष्णन, जिनके बारे में जिनका मैंने काम नहीं देखा है लेकिन फिर भी बहुत सुना था उनके बारे में.
रे के बारे में बता दे, just read it, है ना?
Okay. Ray. Satyajit Ray is great, firstly because of the Appu trilogy. Appu trilogy consists of Pathar Panchali, Aparajito, and Appur Sansar. The trilogy is celebrated for the deep exploration of the characters and the human experiences in the nuanced narrative. And the second point is pioneering Indian cinema internationally. His debut movie, Pathar Panchali, was the first part of Appu trilogy that won several international awards, including the Best Human Document Award at the 1956 Cannes Film Festival. And humanistic approach. Ray's film showcase the journey of the characters by portraying the complex human relationship, social issues, and individual struggles by which the common people can relate with the characters. And the fourth is versatility. Satyajit Ray has explored various genres in the filmmaker, from the intimate dramas to the detective stories, showcasing a wider range of storytelling capabilities. Now, literary adaptations. Ray adapted several literary works to the screen, maintaining the essence of the original material, like adaptation from Rabindranath Tagore's Charulatha or Munshi Premchand's Shatranj Ke Khiladi. Shatranj Ke Khiladi was Ray movie.
आपने
I'm
लिखा
not sure because चैट जीपीटी पे मैंने पढ़ा था ये, और चैट जीपीटी कई बार तो गलत इंफॉर्मेशन भी दे सकता है. रुको, शतरंज के खिलाड़ी
आपने लिखा था, मुझे पता नहीं, आपने लिखा.
Yes sir, it was सत्यजीत रे मूवी. या सत्यजीत रे ने बनाई थी.
ठीक है, नेक्स्ट वन.
इसमें गुरुदत्त एक्टर थे, मतलब ऐसे गुरुदत्त ने शायद एक्टिंग की होगी इसमें.
नहीं, वो बाद में. रीड द फोर्थ, सिक्स्थ.
Oh no, Gurudutt died before it. Yeah.
Sixth one.
Okay. For 6 is national and international recognition. Satyajit Ray received numerous awards and honors during his illustrious career, including an Academy Honorary Award in 1992 for the lifetime achievements in Indian cinema. His impact did not only confine to India but also left an indelible mark on global cinema. Yeah,
so you more or less got the usual answer that people give on way, and you have given reasoning. So Pathar Panchali, pioneering. He is a pioneer, and that we all know. And because because it won an Cannes Award and it's considered to be one of the best 100 films of the world, all-time films. Humanistic approach hai, and then good thing is that you define what humanistic approach means to you in these lines. That is also good. Versatility hai, when you talk about wide range of genres that he has made. Literary adaptations jo hai, and you have not just mentioned that he is literary adapted literary works, but he says that he has maintained the essence of it. You have gone a step ahead and given a qualitative thing to his work in that kind of a thing, and international and recognition. So again, I come back to the first one, which says that human experience nuanced narrative. What do I mean? What do I understand about nuanced narrative? That is not there. If in one or two words we had written down and figured out what is a nuanced narrative, or what is a deep exploration of characters, so that would have been a more rounded up. Otherwise, these are just phrases that appear. These are just phrases that appear. If you are not giving, I don't know what you mean by nuanced narrative. I don't know what you mean by deep exploration of the characters. So these are the next time, just when you're using such phrases, just make sure that you're clear about the meaning of it by writing one or two words of it. So we'll go for Adul Gopal Krishnan.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
So Adur Gopal Krishnan is known for his dedication in the portrayal of realistic characters and situations in his film by which the people resonated with his characters. The prime example is the movie Elli Payatham. ये examples मैंने इसमें लिखे because I did not see his movies. अगर कोई मुझे यहाँ पे suggest कर सकता है, so I would see.
You
Jitin and Ajay.
read your answer first, and then
Yeah,
we'll
वो तो
talk
ऐसे ही
about
कह दिया था.
हाँ.
Okay, yeah. Cinematic innovation. Gopal Krishnan cinematic techniques challenged the conventional storytelling, which focused on the long takes and focusing on the close detailing of the scenes. Exploration of the social issues. Similar to Satyajit Ray, Gopal Krishnan films also delved into society's issue, reflecting on the cultural, political, and economic landscape of Kerala. Minimalist aesthetics. Gopal Krishnan film mostly focused on the storytelling and the narrative of the film rather than the elaborative visuals, which create a huge emotional impact in his films. Yeah. Fifth is international acclaim. Adur Gopal Krishnan's films have received acclaim at various international film festivals. Swayamaram of 1972 won the International Critics Prize at the Fipresect Award at the Berlin International Film Festival, bringing recognition to Indian cinema on the global stage. And sixth is cultural legacy. Gopal Krishnan movies showed the cultural artifacts and preserved the social and cultural heritage of Kerala, and showing tradition, ritual, lifestyle, and dialects contribute to the preservation of rich local culture by the medium of cinema.
Yeah, this is again, it's a very generic. See, these kinds of things are information, international acclaim. Information here, and then it's a good thing that you have mentioned it because it's given international acclaim and stuff like that. But what is the qualitative aspects that you are talking about? You are talking about realistic characters and stuff like that. Resonated with these realistic characters. Now, there is no example of what we're talking about. So actually, I don't know what we're talking about, because there is no example. The prime example is the film Ilipatayam. How is the Ilipatayam characters real? I don't know from reading your answer. I know, of course, I've seen Ilipatayam stuff like that. By reading, I'm assuming now that I'm reading, I don't know anything about Adul Krishnan and stuff like that. But I don't know what realism is there in Ilipatayam. So
Sir, I haven't seen actually his
हाँ
films. I would say.
वो little bit वो पता चलता है कि यार नेट से पकड़ा है आपने, है ना? गोपाल कृष्ण सिनेमैटिक टेक्निक, सेम विद सिनेमैटिक टेक्निक्स. क्या है टेक्निक उसका? कन्वेंशनल चैलेंजिंग कन्वेंशनल स्टोरी कैसे चैलेंज करता है वो, है ना? वो उसका हिंट नहीं है
ये
मेरे
तो
पास.
बताया था that he focuses on long takes and does
वो तो
the
long
close
takes में है.
detailing of the scenes.
हाँ, वो तो हर फिल्म में होती है. कन्वेंशनल स्टोरी टेलिंग में भी लॉन्ग टेक होती है ना? तो इतना क्या है उसमें कि वो कन्वेंशनल स्टोरी नहीं है ना? These are like mid shot is a mid shot, है ना? Long take is a long take, है ना? Close up is a close up. And how is Adur Gopalan using long takes or close-ups to make it unconventional storytelling? वो information मेरे पास नहीं है ना? So social issues है, generic है, social, cultural, economic landscape of Kerala को फिर से आपने repeat किया cultural race, है ना? These things are repeated, है ना? So पता चलता है कि आपने I cannot unless you had seen पता चलता है कि आपने थोड़ा सा research नहीं किया उसके बारे में. When I say research, I not only mean research on the film, on the net, but I also mean a thought process. I'm assuming that you would have seen Adur Gopal Krishnan film. I don't know that if I'm writing, if I'm a character there on your paper, I wouldn't know whether you have seen the film or not seen the film. But I can understand from your answer that you have, even if you have seen the film, you have not given a particular thought to this. ना उतना तो समझ में आता है ना. So it is better in such questions. It is better to pick up a director whose films you have seen, है ना. But I'm not sure if you have seen Saeed Mirza's film or Ghatak's film or Ray's film. कहने का मतलब ये है कि start seeing these films, है ना. Start seeing these films, है ना. So we'll go for Adur Gopal Krishnan हो गया. Okay. So we'll go
Yes,
for
sir. Now the foreign filmmakers,
हाँ.
in which I was trying to find Akira Kurosawa films, लेकिन कहीं पे मिल नहीं रहे हैं. मतलब अभी YouTube पे देखना पड़ेगा without subtitle.
हाँ, तो एग्जामिनेशन में ये सब नहीं मिलेगा आपको, है ना. फिल्म देखने को नहीं मिलेगा, है ना.
हाँ, वो तो समझ सकते हैं, लेकिन इससे पहले एग्जाम देने से पहले मैं थोड़ा सोच समझ के आना चाहिए ताकि एग्जाम में अच्छा लिख सकूं फिल्म के बारे में.
ये सब
देखनी पड़ेंगी.
ये सब डायरेक्टर्स ना कम से कम एक आध फिल्म तो देखो आप, है ना. एग्जाम के बाद छुट्टी आ जाती है ना. या यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कुरोसावा, राइट?
या कुरोसावा. हमारा कोर्स तो डायरेक्ट एग्जाम्स के बाद शुरू ही हो जाएगा अगले दिन से. ओके या सो Akira Kurosawa is known for the innovative cinematography, who was the pioneer of innovative cinematography in Japanese cinema, and he used techniques like telephoto lens, dynamic compositions, and the experimentation in editing, by which he became different from the others. And the second is cross-cultural presentation. Cross-cultural presentation. Kurosawa showed the cross-cultural traditions in his movie, like blending the traditions of Japan as well as showing the tradition that resonates globally. ऐसे करके है. So now masterful storytelling. A storytelling of his movies was very masterful, which is known for its depth, complexity, and the exploration of the human nature. Like the 1952 cult classic movie Ikiru, which has a powerful narrative of the existing theme about life. Actually, Ikiru was the movie on which Anand was loosely based. Yeah. Now, fourth is the collaboration with the actor. So, the collaboration between Kurosawa and actor Toshiro Mifune is legendary in the history of cinema. Mifune's dynamic acting and Kurosawa's visual design gave some iconic films like Seven Samurai, Rashomon, and Yojimbo. Epic filmmaking. Kurosawa was known for his epic filmmaking style in which each and every detail is focused. Like Seven Samurai is the prime example of this, where an ensemble cast presented a story about war. Influence on Western cinema. Kurosawa's impact in Western cinema is profound. Directors like George Lucas and Sergio Leone have openly acknowledged their indebtedness for Kurosawa's work. Kurosawa inspired many people.
Yeah, so the same issue here. I think you'll have to. The details are. They say, na, the details are in the devil. The devil is in the details. That kind of thing. That devil is not. That details are not there. You know, for example, experimentation in editing. You know, what does it mean? I don't know. You know, I mean, and these kinds of things. Dynamic composition. What do you mean by dynamic composition? You know, I don't know. You know, so Kurosawa cross-cultural traditions and Japanese as well as global. This I can understand. You know, even if you have not seen Kurosawa, and this is actually fact. You know, kind of a thing. Sometimes he's adapted a Western into a Japanese tradition, stuff like that. Then what do you mean by he was known for his depth of complexity, complexity and exploration of human nature. what is exploration of human nature? You know? So that I don't know from your answer. Um, the meaning of it. In what meaning, in what context do you say that? That is not clear. Collaborate, this is an information. This is an information which is fine. We'll get it on the net and stuff like that. Epic filmmaking. What do you mean by epic filmmaking? That the scale is large. Is it? Is that it?
Hmm?
What do you mean by epic filmmaking?
Epic filmmaking means making the movies about war, historics.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
So,
epic.
so the scale is large. I can understand that. And influence on Western cinema, which is of course a fact, and he was as much influenced by the Western cinema as he was influenced by Hollywood, So that is a fact. So yeah, the same issues here. The details are missing, and I can see that there is a trend that there is a tendency to use phrases without explaining the context to it, without explaining to the audience, to the examiner, the exact meaning of the. I think we should work on this. Okay? Yeah. So
Yeah, sir.
we'll go for Charlie Chaplin.
या चार्ली चैपलिन का फिर भी मैंने थोड़ा काम देखा है तो मैंने ढंग से लिख पाए हैं उनके बारे में या the things which make Charlie Chaplin a great filmmaker is first is the character of Tramp. The character of Tramp was a symbol of resilience and humor during the tough times, and it was loved by the audience because of his style of costume and lovable personality. Yeah. Second is social commentary by comedy. Chaplin comedies used to comment on the social evils in a humorous manner. Modern times used cleverly comedy to critique the dehumanizing effect of industrialization, while the great dictator of the year 1940 does a satire on Adolf Hitler. Physical comedy. Charlie Chaplin introduced slapstick comedy to the world by the use of gestures, body language, and expressions. The Kid of 1921 and City Lights of 1931 are the perfect example of the physical comedy brilliance. Yeah, versatility. Charlie Chaplin was not only a comedian, but he was also a versatile personality who also wrote, directed, produced, and composed music for the film, which kind of creativity was rare at the time. Adapted changes. The Great Dictator was the first Chaplin film that has resulted in the introduction of the sound in a cinema with the use of synchronized dialogues. Longevity. The spanning of his career through the decades from the silent to the sound era, which shows that Chaplin was able to adapt new technologies and trend with the time, because of which his career lived very long.
Yeah. So here in this social commentary, you're given these examples, and that is absolutely clear. So you say that in modern times, it critiques the dehumanizing effects of industrialization. I mean, that's clear. It's very precise and very clear. And then you talk about physical comedy, and that also you are given versatility. He was very versatile person who wrote. But every other, for example, Douglas Fairbanks during this time, he was very Griffith, W.D. Griffith. He was an actor. He was a producer. He was a writer. Everything. So when we are making such sweeping statements, Charlie Chaplin, but he was very versatile person. We should be a little bit more careful, because every other guy, W.D. Griffith was also versatile. He is not the only film. You say elsewhere uh, was the first Chaplin film. You make some grand statements like that, which I think if they are not backed by facts, then you will be in trouble. So you should be careful making these grand statements. I'll tell you when it comes. There was one more which I forgot where it is, but it's there. He adapted changes. Charlie Chaplin initially resisted the change that came when it came sound. Even after the sound came, he made some silent films. Thinking that silent film was. It's only later at some stage when he made this first film with the sound. It's with some resistance that he took to the change, and therefore, and the sound films that he did were also like brilliant, in that sense. and therefore he had this longevity. देर आया but दुरुस्त आया उसने, है ना? So if you're making these kinds of statements, है ना, and थोड़ा सा careful रहना पड़ेगा, है ना? He was vehement in making a silent film even after sound was there in Hollywood. मेरे ख्याल से उसका City Lights came after sound came, but it was almost like a sound film, है ना? A silent film. Then of course he made his movies and stuff like that. So you have to be careful with your words, careful with your phrases, careful of what you declare, you know. This is fine. The character of Tramp, which is a symbol of resilience and stuff like that. And what are these tough times? During tough times, आपने explain नहीं किया, है ना? Tough times of the war, World War, है ना? You mean World War, but it is not coming across it. So you make it absolutely clear in your writings that things are communicated in the way that you intend it to be communicated. Clear? So we'll go for the next one. Question number 4.
Okay. Write a short note on the India International co-production. Elaborate with examples of the two films which are well known for the art house circuit in India. Okay. India International co-production have been a trend of Indian cinema which explores the collaborative relation of Indian filmmakers and their contemporaries in the foreign. It has resulted in sharing of the creative ideas, cultural nuances, but also helped in the discovering of the way of making content reach to the parts of the world. The co-production also result to the co-production model that allows the filmmaker to pool resources, expertise, funding, and resulting in the films often find success on the international art house circuit. Some example of India international co-production. The Lunchbox. Directed by Ritesh Batra, The Lunchbox is a notable example of successful India international co-production. Co-produced by Indian, French, German and American companies, the film beautifully captures the essence of Mumbai through a unique love story unfolds through the exchange of lunchboxes. International collaboration. This is the collaboration of bringing Indian talent of Irfan Khan and Nimrat Kaur with international producers such as Dharma Productions. Dharma Productions is Indian though. French production company ASAP Films and Germany's Rojo Film. Critical acclaim. Lunchbox received widespread critical acclaim for its heartwarming narrative and subtle performances and the portrayal of the bustling city of Mumbai. It premiered at the Cannes Film Festival in the International Critics Week and went to numerous awards globally. Art of sensibility. The film's success on the international art house circuit. The international art house circuit can be attributed in the universal themes of loneliness, connection, and the power of the small gestures. Cross-cultural collaboration added a layer to the authenticity in the storytelling, making it relatable to the audience around the world. Ship of
Now,
Theseus.
yeah, Ship of Theseus. Where is this? Yeah, Ship of Theseus.
Ship of Theseus is another example of India international co-production that gained recognition in the art house circuit, co-produced by India's Recycle Wala Labs, Germany's Rojo Films. Film explores the philosophical question through three intellect story. And global collaboration showed the collaboration of the talent of India and foreign in front of and behind the cameras. The film themes and experimental storytelling attracted the support of Rotterdam Film Festival, Hubert Ball's Fund, and Bernal's Film Festival Cinema Fund. Art house sensibility. Ship of Theseus exemplifies the kind of film finds success in the art house circuit due to intellectual engagement and the collaborative effort brought together by the Indian and international sensibility. The film's exploration of the philosophical dilemmas transcends the cultural boundaries, appealing it to the global audience. Critical acclaim. The film garnered critical acclaim, intellectual depth, visual aesthetic, compelling narrative, and resonated with the audience's appreciative of thought-provoking cinema, earning accolades in the international film festival. international film festivals of Toronto and Tokyo. While India International Co-Production offer a platform to diverse storytelling, cultural exchanges, and they also pose a challenge in navigating different filmmaking styles, overcoming the language barrier, and ensuring the harmonious blend of creative visions require careful coordination. Despite the challenges, the success of the films like Lunchbox and Ship of Theseus demonstrated the potential fruitful collaboration in the global film industry. India's co-production can not only contribute to the art house circuit but also plays a vital role in the fostering of cultural understanding and enriching the cinematic landscape with diverse narratives. अरे सर इसमें मैं एक वो एग्जांपल और डाल सकती थी जो कि इंडिया और जापान ने मिलकर एनिमे फिल्म बनाई थी ऑन रामायण.
ये सब है ना. तो these are all facts that you have, some of them are the most facts that you mentioned. There is one thing probably you could have, and I'm opening this talk to others also, to you also. There is an Indian way of filmmaking that is there in India, and if you're doing an international, you have mentioned it here briefly in this challenges section, but that's one major concern that is there with collaborations. That is that so when you are collaborating with a foreign producer, then that particular producer will have to look for his or her own audience in his or her own country, and which is different from what your audience is in India. So does international collaboration mean that you have to adapt to the style of the foreign country, the financier or the producer who is also involved? And that's a big question, and because people are facing that. So when you're dealing with international co-productions, normally, I mean, they say that do this and do that because our audience won't like this. So are you willing to do the changes? And if you're willing to do the changes, what about your Indian audience? So this is a crucial issue that that plagues the India international cooperation, and I think I'll leave that open to the audience to the students, and to do some thinking about it. पैसा मिलता है, recognition मिलता है, international festivals के लिए मिलता है, everything is सही. But what about the style? What about the way of filmmaking? What about the language? Is it really your language? ये प्रश्न आ जाता है. Thank you, Tanvi. Thank you for reading. Geet,
Okay, sir.
is Geet there? Yeah, he's
Present,
there.
sir.
Yeah. Geet, you can start off. Why do you consider people as two filmmakers as great? Hirani and
Irani and Sanjay Leela Bansali.
Sanjay. Yeah, we'll start with Hirani.
Okay. Stories that touch the heart. Rajkumar Hirani is known for telling stories that make people feel deeply. His movies are about real emotions that everyone can understand, making important points with fun. Hirani is good at talking about serious things in a funny way. Films like PK and Lage Raho Munna Bhai uses joke to tell us about big issues like society, rules, and human values. Characters that feel real. Hirani creates characters that seem like real people. You might remember characters like Munna or Rancho because they feel like someone you might know in your own life. Movies that many people watch. Hirani's movies are not just like by critics. Many people go to watch them. Films like PK and Sanju are not only praised but also make a lot of money at the box office. Working well with Amir Khan. Hirani and actor Amir Khan work together a lot and people really like their movies. Amir's acting and Hirani's storytelling make a good team, talking about important things. Hirani's films are not just for fun. They also talk about important things. Munna Bhai MBBS talks about problems in the medical system and PK talks about religious beliefs. Connecting with people. The stories and characters in Hirani's movies connect with many people. People feel like they can relate to the stories and that's why they like his films. Winning awards. Hirani's movies get a lot of awards. People in the film industry and others think he does a great job in making movies.
Yeah, so there in this 8 points, there are some repetitions here and there. I think you have repeated 1 or 2 points. So this is a very valid point that you talk about, and the stories make people deep feely. And why is it so? Because you say that he's talking about emotions, you know. So you're saying why is it great, and you're giving reasons for that, you know. So this is fair enough, you know. So important with point with fun, you know. So his serious issues, he's telling it in a lighter mode. The same point you have repeated elsewhere here. I mean, you could have figured that out and talked something else about that. Characters are real. Now this is what do you mean by real people? You know, so you haven't given a satisfactory, according to me, you haven't given a satisfactory answer to what is real. You might remember the character. These are these effects of being real. It is real. You remember because it is real. You know, but what exactly what exactly make this real? You know, तो ये आपने define नहीं किया. ये थोड़ा सा एक आध word में define नहीं किया. है ना? So that is one thing you would like to improve in this point. Many people watch, you know. So why does, of course, this is a fact that the fact that it is made money at the box office would mean that it is watched by many people, and you have to figure out why, and for it to be great, a lot. Why is it being watched by so many people? You know,
So जैसे कि मैं तो देखता हूँ कि जैसे जब भी इनकी कोई फिल्म आती है सब यही कहने लगते हैं कि राजकुमार हिरानी की फिल्म आई है, चलो देखते हैं, बहुत अच्छी फिल्म होगी। मतलब उनका नाम इतना ज्यादा प्रचलित हो गया है कि अब उनके नाम से ही फिल्म चल जाती है।
so therefore it does make great. So I'm not sure about this, you know. So why there should be something in the film that makes or his style, you know, or something in his technique that makes people go, अरे राजकुमार हिरानी का फिल्म देखते हैं, है ना? उसका सिग्नेचर क्या है ना? You're talking about a signature kind of a thematic concern or a cinematic concern or whatever. वो क्या है एकदम, है ना? If you had mentioned it, you know, I mean, according to you, वो क्या है कि people flock to, है ना? ये थोड़ा सा
तब मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जैसे दूसरे डायरेक्टर जब फिल्म बनाते हैं तो उनमें कॉमेडी थोड़ी फोर्स टाइप की लगती है, पर इनकी कॉमेडी इतनी ज्यादा सिचुएशनल और रियलिस्टिक लगती है कि पता ही नहीं चलता है कि लगता है जैसे एक्चुअली में सामने घटना घट रही है।
हाँ, तो ये बात अगर आप डालते हैं ना, एंड therefore the people come in, है ना, ये बात जब डालते हैं तो थोड़ा सा राउंड अप हो जाता है आंसर, है ना? तो आपने अभी रीजंस दिया है why people are coming, ना, whatever be the reason, it's your reason, that's okay, but that reason if it had come in this answer, then without any repetition elsewhere, then that working with Amir Khan, why does his films become great if Amir Khan is working in it, and you should be giving reasons.
जैसे कि मेरा मानना है कि जैसे एक डायरेक्टर एक्टर डुओ टाइप का एक होता है, और
हाँ,
जब वो काम करते हैं साथ में तो हमेशा फिल्म अच्छी आ जाती है।
हाँ, तो ये I'm not, the question says why they are great, है ना? तो
मतलब एक तरह से उनकी जुगलबंदी अच्छी है, ये मैं कहना चाहता हूँ।
something, हाँ, because they have a rapport and then there is a something, वो languaging की बात आती है मेरे ख्याल से ना, हिरानी and actor Amir Khan work together a lot, है ना, उनका ट्यूनिंग अच्छी होती है, if you can mention that, and that tuning is seen on the screen, है ना, इस तरह की आप बातें करते हैं ना, थोड़ा सा रीजनिंग आ जाता है ना। आमिर खान एंड ईरानी स्टोरी टेलिंग में कि गुड टीम में तो ठीक है ना, आई मीन उस गुड टीम बनने का फायदा क्या है, फिल्म के लिए क्या फायदा है, एंड व्हाई इज इट बिकमिंग ग्रेट, है ना? ये अगर रीजनिंग देते तो थोड़ा सा which is there in your mind, it's a matter of forming it in a sentence and stuff like that, है ना? So वही बात आती है कि sometimes we assume that people know things, but it's there in our mind, and then we have to come across, express it in either, if it's a film, you have to express it in a film, or if it's in a write-up like this, you express it in a write-up, है ना? So it's what I'm saying is it's not sufficient to say that they work together and therefore the film is great. Then you have to say they work together and therefore this is the result of that and therefore the film is great. ये कहना चाहता हूँ ना।
ओके सर, समझ गया।
Talking about important things, ये सही है, एकदम सही है आपने, है ना, एकदम सही किया। Connecting with people, है ना, connect with many people, ये तो repeat लगा मुझे, है ना, आगे बहुत सारे लोग winning awards, ये भी information है, ठीक है ना? Just make sure in your answers that your reasoning is there and that you don't assume things that people know, है ना? So about at the risk of being explanative, without being so, you could just make things little more clearer. What's in your
Okay,
mind?
sir.
So
Okay, sir.
Sanjay Leela Bhansali.
Movies with big visuals. Sanjay Leela Bhansali makes movies that look really big and beautiful. His films have grand sets, colorful clothes, and nice camera work. Looking at small details. Bhansali pays attention to small details in his movies. Everything from the clothes to the places is made to look just right. This makes his movies very nice to watch. Good music in movies. Music is important in Bhansali's movies. He works with good composers to make songs that people remember. Songs like the Hum Dil De Chuke Hai Sanam have become famous. Stories that feel very big. Likes to tell stories that feel very big. Movies like Devdas and Bajirao Mastani have big and emotional stories that make you feel a lot. Actors doing great job. The actors in Bhansali's movies do a great job. Actors like Deepika Padukone, Ranveer Singh, and Aishwarya Rai have important role in his movies. Movies about old times and culture. Many of Bhansali's movies talk about old times and Indian culture. Padmavat and Bajirao Mastani show us what life was like in the past in a big and dramatic way, winning awards. Bhansali's movies get a lot of awards. People in the film industry think he does a great job in making movies that are beautiful and tell interesting stories, doing different things in movies. Bhansali likes to try new things in his movies. He uses different techniques and ways of telling stories, making his films interesting and creative.
Yeah, so this is again a generic statement, you know. So you could have at least given one example of how different it is, you know. So I don't know what do you mean by different techniques, you know, and I don't know what do you mean by making films. How does he make his film interesting and creative, you know? वो उसमें नहीं है, generic statement हो गया. Winning awards तो खैर it's a information that is very fine. It's about old times and old culture and stuff like that, and here you have given reasons. We get to, because it is not just great because it talks about old times. It is great because you're saying it's great because it talks about old times and it shows us what was life like. है ना, एक वर्ल्ड ओपन कर लेता है हमको, है ना. So that reasoning is correct, and this should be the kind of reasoning that is being given. So
Okay.
it is so actors doing a great job, you know. So if you could rephrase this line saying that his handling of actors, है ना. You have done theater, गीत theater किया आपने
हाँ
कभी?
हाँ सर किया है.
हाँ, तो वो उसका हैंडलिंग, डायरेक्टिंग ऑफ एक्टर्स होते हैं ना, हैंडलिंग ऑफ एक्टर्स. तो एक्टर से ये निचोड़ लेता है काम, है ना. अगर इसी बात को वो दूसरी तरह से अगर
समझ
बोल
गया
दिया,
सर.
हाँ, तो दूसरी बात को वो ठीक ठाक होता है. स्टोरीज ऑफ बिग, है ना. करेक्टली, एब्सोल्युटली बिग. ये थोड़ा सा रिपीट है मेरे ख्याल से. फर्स्ट थोड़ा बहुत रिपीट लगता है. ग्रैंड स्केल पे है, वॉर है, दिस दैट, ग्रैंड सेट्स एंड स्टफ लाइक दैट, ह्यूज सेट्स एंड स्टफ लाइक दैट. वो थोड़ा सा रिपीट हो गया. म्यूजिक आप अच्छा किया, है ना. यू आर नॉट स्टॉपिंग एट सेइंग द म्यूजिक इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ऐसे स्टॉप नहीं कर रहे. यू आर गोइंग अहेड एंड सेइंग ही वर्क्स विद गुड कंपोजर्स एंड मेक सॉन्ग्स दैट पीपल रिमेंबर, है ना. एक थोड़ा सा हल्का सा बोलता है कि मेलोडीज उसका अच्छा होता है ना. अगर वो मेलोडीज अगर शब्द यूज कर लेते हैं थोड़ा सा उस तरह की कुछ कर लेते हैं और थोड़ा सा मजबूत होता है फिल्म, है ना. So this thing is what you say is everything from his clothes to places is made to just right, apt है, हाँ. Details पे movie करता है. Everything is apt and everything is right, and therefore it becomes, what does it, when everything becomes apt and everything looks just right, what does it become? It becomes authentic, है ना. ये सब, what is the result of that? Everything is apt, सही है. What is the result of that? The result is that everything looks authentic and well researched, है ना. अगर ये बात करते हैं, and therefore it looks great, है ना. वो technique by itself is not important. और technique, what does it imply, है ना. And अगर वो उसका समझ है, तो then I think this is a good one. Clear, Geet? We'll go for
हाँ
the
सर
next. We'll go
एक
for the
और पॉइंट
next.
था.
हाँ,
चलिए ठीक.
ये कौन सी पहली वाली? अच्छा, ये
हाँ
this is where camera work, है ना, that really big, है ना. ये big repeat है. पहले वाला पे repeat लग रहा है मेरे को, है ना. ग्रैंड सेट्स है, कलरफुल क्लोथ्स है, नाइस कैमरा वर्क है ना. ये थोड़ा सा लगा मेरे को, ये रियली लुक्स बिग. बाद में भी आपने स्केल के बारे में हिंट किया है. रिपीट लग रहा है मेरे को, ना.
ठीक है सर समझ गया.
Which is correct. His scale is huge, ना. His camera work is सुदीप चैटर्जी का कैमरा वर्क है जो डिटेल लाइट, है ना. और उसका कैमरा लाइटिंग बजट भी इतना होता है ना, दैट कैन स्केल उसका अच्छा है, द पॉइंट्स आर ऑल करेक्ट है ना, तो थोड़ा सा लैंग्वेज में इधर उधर का ये कर देता, देन आई अरे ये बंदा ही नोज व्हाट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट, ये फीलिंग आ जाती।
समझ लिया सर।
क्वेश्चन 2।
Satyajit Ray. Realistic and honest storytelling. Satyajit Ray was good at telling stories that felt real. His movies like the Apu trilogy showed life in a way that seemed true, capturing how people feel and go through different experiences. International recognition and impact. Ray became famous not just in India but also in other countries. His movies got awards in big film festivals around the world, showing that people from different places liked his work, making different kinds of films. Ray was a key figure in making a different kind of cinema. His movies were not like the usual glamorous ones. They talked about real problems and showed characters that felt like people might know. Apu trilogy, a cinematic masterpiece. The Apu trilogy, Pathir Panchali, Aparajito, and Apu Sansar, is considered really good. It tells the story of Apu from when he was a child to when he becomes an adult, showing a lot about life, trying new things in movies. Ray liked to try new things when making movies. He used different ways to tell stories and make the visuals interesting, which helped movies evolve. Talking about society and culture, Ray's movies often talked about things happening in society and explored the culture. Whether it was showing life in the village in Pather Panchali or the clash between old and new in Charulata, his movies delved into these aspects. Characters changing in movies. Ray was good at making characters in his movies change and grow. They weren't one sided, they felt like real people going through different situations. Turning books into movies. Ray made movies from books, turning stories from the pages into interesting films. His adaptations like Charulata and The Home and the World showed showed his skill in bringing stories to life on the screen.
Yeah, so there are a couple of things that I can speak about. So see, the Apu trilogy. We all know that it is based on this novel, you know. So, so you not only say that Apu trilogy is considered really good, and you say that it shows a lot about life, है ना? So, if you had आपने देखी तीनों फिल्म?
हाँ सर देखिए
हाँ
पाथर
तो
पांचाली
वो
तो देखिए जब छोटा बच्चा था।
हाँ नहीं कोई नहीं, तो you roughly know the what is the story of पत्थर पंचाली से अपूर्व संसार तक, है ना? Does it deal with modern India, rural India से change over modern होके मतलब modernization, city urbanization? Does it talk about that? है ना? अगर ये बात अगर you are saying showing about life, what aspect of life? It talked about वो पिछली सेंचुरी का वो पूरा urbanization का स्टोरी है ना? It is not just about अपू है ना और उसका संसार। अपू का संसार क्या है? अपू का संसार है the story, it's a story of India, and therefore it becomes वो थोड़ा सा अगर आप elaborate करते ना instead of saying it's just about life, है ना, तो वो एकदम मजबूत हो जाता है ना। And if you had it's a matter of languaging, I think this is what you had in mind, but then वो थोड़ा सा sharp करना चाहिए ना। There are certain things that we use different ways to tell stories and make vision. This is not explained properly. How did he make visuals interesting? I don't know. What you have in mind, I don't know. है ना? वो थोड़ा सा
सर जैसे मैंने उनकी एक फिल्म देखी थी वो नाम नहीं मुझे याद है बस उसमें दिखा रहे थे कि एक बच्चा था वो गरीब बच्चा था वो पतंग उड़ा रहा था और एक अमीर बच्चा था उसकी वो गोली मार के उसकी पतंग गिरा देता है एक तरह से अमीर और गरीब का एक कंपैरिजन दिखाता है दोनों का कैरेक्टर डेवलपमेंट दिखाता है तो वो जिस तरीके के विजुअल्स यूज किए थे जिस तरीके से कंपैरिजन किया था उन्होंने वो मुझे बड़ा अपीलिंग लगा था।
हाँ तो वो अगर एक लाइन में ये बात होती है, शॉर्ट फिल्म है उसका सत्यजीत रे का, एकदम एक छोटी सी शॉर्ट फिल्म है, वो नेट में अवेलेबल है। आई नो व्हाट फिल्म आई फॉरगॉट द नेम ऑफ द फिल्म बट
So two.
pardon? हाँ
Name of
हाँ
the film is Two.
two. So if you had mentioned this ना, इसीलिए वो इंटरेस्टिंग है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल दिस इज द फिल्म एंड दिस इज कंपैरिजन करता है विदाउट एनी डायलॉग, ओनली साउंड इफेक्ट्स एंड म्यूजिक, उसका साउंड डिजाइनिंग जो है एकदम सटाक है ना। तो इफ यू हैड मेंशन दैट देन इसका वेटेज, इस आंसर के लिए वेटेज मिल जाता है आपको ना। अदरवाइज
नाम भूल गया था।
हाँ नहीं कोई नहीं, देयर इज दिस फिल्म यू कैन से ना। तो हम लोग तो स्टूडेंट्स है अभी भी, मैं भी स्टूडेंट हूँ, 50 साल हो गया मेरे को, फिर भी स्टूडेंट हूँ मैं, भूल जाता हूँ ना। So you could talk about that. You know, so the point is to be honest about it. So there are certain things like this which could have been explained. You know, ये आपने सही बोला आपने, है ना। ये आपने बोला कि सोसाइटी में एक्सप्लोर कल्चर करता है। इफ यू हैड स्टॉप्ड हियर आई वुड हैव टोल्ड यू कैसे एक्सप्लोर करता है बताओ। नहीं, व्हेन यू गॉन अहेड एंड सेड ये क्लैश देता है ना, इट इज क्लैश बिटवीन ओल्ड एंड न्यू इन चारुलता। इट्स अबाउट विलेज लाइफ, यहाँ पे आपने लिखा विलेज लाइफ, है ना, लाइफ इन द विलेजेस, है ना, इन फतेह पंचाली, यहाँ पे आपने रीजनिंग दिया। एंड दिस इज आई थिंक एन आइडियल काइंड ऑफ अ पॉइंट दैट यू हैव मेंशन्ड, है ना। यू नॉट ओनली मेंशन व्हाट इट इज अबाउट एंड इट इज इम्पैक्ट और कैसा कैसा हुआ, है ना। तो दैट काइंड ऑफ अ थिंग, ऐसा मतलब 2-3 जगह है which which are static in nature, you know, like this, like answer like this, and there are some other points which you say which is like अरे यार ये थोड़ा सा इलॉबरेशन करना चाहिए था इसको, है ना, in some way or other, you know, you're getting what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we'll go for Ritvik Ghatak.
Movies with strong emotions. Ritvik Ghatak made movies that had strong emotions and often sad stories. His films explored themes like human suffering, displacement, and the impact of historical events on people, using pictures in a special way. Ghatak used pictures in a special way in his movies. He used bright and symbolic images to show the feelings of the characters. Speaking of people with less power, Ghatak's movies often spoke for people who didn't have much power. He talked about social issues, refugees, and the struggles of everyday people in his films, trying new things in movies. Ghatak, like Satyajit Ray, liked to try new things in movies. He used different techniques and ways of telling stories to make his film unique and impactful, talking about nationalism and identity. Ghatak's movies explored themes like nationalism and identity, especially after the partition of Bengal. Movies like Meghe Dhaka Tara and Subarna Rekha showed the social and political problems of that time. Deep connection with Bengali culture. Ghatak's movies had a deep connection with Bengali culture and literature. He used the rich heritage of Bengal, including folk traditions and literature, to tell his stories. Paying attention to local stories. Ghatak's movies paid attention to local stories and how historical events affected local communities. This focus on religious realities added depth to his storytelling, inspiring other filmmakers. Ghatak's work inspired other filmmakers to explore different themes and ways of telling stories. He played a big role in the Indian parallel cinema movement, making films that were different from the usual ones.
Yeah, so by and large you've got आप आपने पकड़ा है, घटक को पकड़ा है, the way he is ना एकदम strong emotions है ना, and it is strong. You not only say it's strong emotion, but you also say you explore things like human sufferings. You define what that strong emotion is. So strong, you say that the strong emotion is because of the things that is explored, which is human का suffering है ना. So that I think is a very good way of putting it. Ghatak use pictures in a special way. ये क्या है? What is this? What do you mean by Ghatak use pictures?
So जैसे symbolical चीजों नहीं यूज करते हैं वो
नहीं
कुछ
नहीं, do you mean Ghatak use visuals in a special way or is it photographs?
visuals, sir, visuals.
हाँ, तो ये थोड़ा सा लैंग्वेजिंग ना आपका विजुअल्स लिख लीजिएगा, अगर एकदम सटाक हो गया ऑडियो विजुअल ना, Ghatak
समझ गया
use
सर.
visuals in a special way. क्या विजुअल है? You explain. अबे ब्राइट और सिंबॉलिक इमेजेस है, उसने डार्क भी यूज किया है ना, समटाइम्स उसका डार्क भी यूज किया और कभी कभी काउंटर पॉइंट यूज किया। आपने अगर सुवर्ण रेखा देखा तो whenever the lady comes, she is like and sometimes it's very, she is very high key lighting है, high key in the sense very well lit lighting है उसका, but उसका mental status, physical status contrasty है। So he uses pictures, visuals. मेरा मुंह से भी पिक्चर आ गया है ना, पिक्चर्स विजुअल्स इन appropriate way. ये सही पकड़ा आपने। Yeah, we talked about the downtrodden, है ना, ये सही बोला, refugees and stuff like that, and in a time where none of them were talking, mainstream cinema was not talking about them, he did that, है ना। national themes के बारे में आपने लगा, that is very good, है ना, and you given examples here, Bengali culture के बारे में लिखा है ना, and it's almost like a documentation of the culture and local stories and local, and it was rooted and his ये बातें हमने कही, ये सही पकड़ा घटक के बारे में, सही पकड़ा है, except for a few points that I've mentioned here and there. ठीक है, so we'll go for the next one, international filmmaker.
Akira Kurosawa.
Hmm.
Telling stories with pictures.
Hmm.
Akira Kurosawa was really good at telling stories using pictures in his movies. He made films that had strong and captivating images to tell the story.
Hmm.
Influential filmmakers everywhere. Kurosawa's way of making movies had a big impact on filmmakers around the world. Many famous directors like George Lucas and Quentin Tarantino were inspired by
Hmm.
understanding people's behavior.
Hmm.
Kurosawa's movies often looked at why people do certain things. Films like Rashomon and Seven Samurai explored the thoughts and actions of characters in a deep way, making samurai movies popular. Kurosawa was really good at making samurai movies. Movies like Yojimbo and Sanjuro set the standard for samurai films and influenced a lot of other filmmakers, turning books into movies. Kurosawa often turned books into great movies. He was good at taking stories from books and making them into interesting movies with great visuals. Trying new things in movies. Kurosawa liked to try new things in his movies. He experimented with different ways of telling story using camera and making his movies unique and interesting, getting awards from around the world. Kurosawa's movies were liked not only in Japan but all over the world. He won many awards at film festivals and other events, showing that people everywhere appreciated his work, making many different types of movies. Kurosawa didn't stick to just one type of movie. He made all kinds of films, from historical epic to dramas, showing that he was really good at making different kinds of stories.
Yeah, so there are some facts which we have got it right. Versatility is absolutely okay. Awards also it's a information that we have given, which is also good, you know. And yeah, new things again. You have to explain what is new, you know, or give an example of what is new. ये नहीं रहा otherwise it becomes a general sweeping statement, है ना. अब उसका movies new type of telling stories है and therefore it is unique and interesting. I mean it doesn't mean anything unless you explain what is new, है ना. Explain मतलब ज़्यादा explain नहीं, within the given give a hint of, you know, what is new. And you literary भी अच्छा है ना. He turn books है ना. um, this ये आपने सही पकड़ा है. He turn books, you know, when he turns his books, कैसा, why is it great? Because वो books को great visuals पे convert करता था. That is what this line implies, you know. Which is a very good observation that you have. Samurai movies एक genre था जापान में, है ना. वो yeah, true, very true that he samurai movies, Kurosawa didn't make samurai movies popular. Samurai movies studios in Japan in the 50s made these samurai movies, you know, as a genre. Kurosawa भी करता था, दूसरा भी करते थे and stuff like that. He's not the one who popularized it, although we know them as samurai films, you know. काफी सारे samurai films है, you know. So थोड़ा सा वो ambitious लगा इस statement, है ना. People's behavior now, this is very important in Kurosawa's film, है ना. So I would like to know आपके thought. He explored the thoughts of an action of the characters in a deep way, है ना. कैसा deep है ना. So that is like missing here, है ना. रोशोमोन में एकदम आपने सही पकड़ा है. रोशोमोन में I guess you सेवन सवरा रोशोमोन में सही है, डेप्थ में गया है. बट व्हाट इज अ डेप्थ, अगर वो हिंट आ जाता इस आंसर में, वो एकदम से सटैक करके ये हो जाता है. ये अगेन विजुअल्स है ये, है ना. एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट, है ना. Yeah, and this is an information that you have given, which is fair enough. So Kurosawa has also inspired a filmmaker like Girish Karnad. If you have seen a film called Vandanandu Kaladalli, made in I think 1976 or 77 or maybe 78. It's a remake of, almost a remake of, inspiration from Yojimbo. You know? So he's all over the world, basically, Kurosawa. This is a good answer, except for a couple of things that I mentioned about. So we'll go for Chaplin.
Making people laugh without talking. Charlie Chaplin was famous for making people laugh without saying anything. He became well known during the time when movies didn't have sound, jokes that everyone can understand. Chaplin's humor was simple and could make people laugh no matter where they were from. His jokes were easy to understand and enjoyed by a lot of people from different cultures, doing many jobs in movies. Chaplin didn't just act, he also directed, wrote, and composed music for his movies. He was good at many things in making movies, trying new things in movies. Chaplin was always trying new things in his movies. He experimented with different ways of making people laugh and telling stories, making his films interesting and fun. Caring about people. Chaplin not only made people laugh but also cared about making the world a better place. He used his movies to talk about important issues and show kindness to others, standing up for the little guy. Many of Chaplin's movies were about supporting people who were not very powerful. The character he played, the tramp, was always facing challenges but stayed strong and positive, talking about modern problems. Chaplin's movie Modern Times made fun of how things were changing in the world. It showed the problems of modern life in a funny way, still important after many years. Even though Chaplin's movies are old, people still love them. His work is studied and appreciated because he had a big impact on how movies were made and is remembered as a great filmmaker.
या ये लास्ट का पॉइंट है ना, एकदम सही बोला, यूनिवर्सलिटी। यूनिवर्सिटी ये कौन सा भी टाइम है, उसका टाइम नहीं है। अभी भी देखो, 50 साल पहले भी देखो, 50 साल बाद में भी देखो, एंड इट वर्क्स, ट्रैवलिंग फिल्म वर्क्स। एंड यू हैव टॉक्ड ऑल द राइट पॉइंट्स, है ना, एंड effortlessly this is this people laugh. It became well known during the time when movies didn't have sound. This could have been probably been worded better. um, to make people laugh without cracking a verbal joke is a very tough, you know? So in that sense, silently, um, we made people laugh, you know, with silent visuals. So that's a very good point that you probably could have been written a little more in a different way. Jokes that everyone can understand, universality, you know, and we talked about universality, which is again, therefore, because it's universal, and then people from different countries can understand that movie or the joke. You know? Now, this is very important. Charlene didn't just act; he directed, wrote, composed music, everything, and etc. etc. From produced, he also produced. You know? इसकी reason, if he does all these things, what is the impact of it? The impact of it probably is that it has a particular style. It has an author style. Author, you could relate it to, because he's doing all these things. Then एक चाप होता है ना, सिग्नेचर होती है, एक चैपलिन का सिग्नेचर होती है इन ऑल डिपार्टमेंट्स, एंड उसकी फिल्म में, सभी फिल्म में दैट सिग्नेचर इज देयर, है ना, आइडेंटिफाइबल। उसका एक रिजल्ट अगर आप बोलते हैं तो ये एकदम एकदम सताक हो जाता है यहाँ से। यू गेटिंग व्हाट आई एम सेइंग? It is
Yes,
not
sir.
necessary. It is not enough to say that he does everything. He does everything. उसका फायदा क्या है? What is the result of that? The result is probably, in according to me, आपका अलग हो सकता है, but according to me, उसका चाप दिखता है ना, इस author theory आपने पढ़ा ही होगा, है ना? एक
अपना एक
signature
स्टाइल आ जाता है,
अपना,
सिग्नेचर बना देता
हाँ सिग्नेचर स्टाइल हो जाता है, वो नजर आती है। ये आप शायद लिख सकते थे। अगेन, न्यू थिंग्स क्या है आपने एक्सप्लेन नहीं किया, है ना? आपने तो बोला न्यू गैग्स है वगैरह वगैरह ना, न्यू वेज ऑफ मेकिंग, एक एग्जांपल देते तो अच्छा होता।
देना चाहिए
हाँ,
चाहिए।
and ये कैरिंग, ये बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है। इज नॉट जस्ट अबाउट लाफिंग, है ना, ही केयर्ड अबाउट पीपल, एंड दिस इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, एंड he wanted to make a better world by caring, which is compassionate, and all his films are compassionate। आप देखो सिटी लाइट्स देखो या जो भी है, मॉडर्न टाइम्स देखो, कंपैशनफुल, सही पकड़ा आपने, स्टैंडिंग फॉर द लिटिल गाय, और ट्रैम्प को, डाउन ट्रॉडन को ही स्टैंड्स ना। when during the time when Hollywood was making films on the upper class comedies, है ना, sitcoms types, and वो सब करते थे ना, and this guy was making a film on little tramp, on the downtrodden, सही पकड़ा आपने, good, yeah, good। So we'll go for international co-production।
India International Co-Production, movies bringing cultures together. India International Co-Production means when India and foreign filmmakers work together to make movies. They mix different cultures and ways of telling stories to create films that people from all over the world can enjoy. This teamwork helps in sharing ideas, skills, and stories, making the movies more interesting for everyone. Important things about India International Co-Production. Mixing cultures. Co-productions mix India and foreign cultures. Filmmakers bring their own ways of telling stories, making movies that people from different places can understand and like. Getting money and showing everywhere. Co-production usually get money from different countries. This helps in making better movies and more resources. These films can be shown in India and other countries so more people can watch them. Different kinds of stories. Filmmakers get to tell different kinds of stories that everyone can relate to. They can explore themes that are important for everyone, not just people from one place. Learning new things. Co productions let filmmakers learn new things from each other. Indian filmmakers can learn advanced techniques and everyone brings their skills to make a better movie together using different talents. Co-productions involve people from different countries. They work together, bringing in actors, directors, writers, and others, making the movie more interesting with diverse talents.
Yeah. So ये
Examples भी हैं नीचे sir.
ये अच्छा ठीक है.
Examples of well-known co-produced movies: The Lunchbox, directed by Ritesh Batra. The Lunchbox is famous for famous co-production involving India, France, Germany, and the United States. The movie tells a touching love story in Mumbai through the exchange of lunchboxes. Why it's important? The Lunchbox mixes Indian culture with international storytelling, and people liked it for its deep story about human connections in a busy city. The Man Who Knew Infinity. Directed by Matthew Brown, this co-production involves India, the United Kingdom, and the United States. This film is about the life of Indian mathematician Srinivasa Ramanujan, played by Dev Patel, and his relationship with his mentor, G.H. Hardy, played by Jeremy Irons. Why it's important? The Man Who Knew Infinity shows how productions can tell important stories from history. It explores math and the impact of cultural differences on personal relationships. How co-productions affect Indian art house cinema. India international co-productions have a big impact on Indian art house cinema. These films reach more people and tell bigger stories. They also get recognition at famous film festivals, making Indian cinema known globally. Co-productions bring different cultures together and help Indian filmmakers learn from others, making their movies more diverse and interesting. In summary, India international co-productions make movies that bring people from different cultures closer. They share stories and skills, making films that everyone can enjoy. This teamwork helps Indian art house cinema grow and be recognized around the world.
Yeah, this is a well thought of writer. ये 500 से थोड़ा सा ज्यादा लग रहा है मेरे को, है ना? Is that it?
Yeah, उतना ही है सर.
उतना ही है.
Limits
So,
बाहर नहीं लिखा.
the thematic concern, as you have summed up in the last paragraph, is that दो cultures mix हो रहा है इसमें, है ना? इसका मतलब दो stories mix हो रहे हैं. So probably दो languages mix हो रहे हैं. By language I don't mean the language Hindi, English, है ना? Spoken language नहीं, language of cinema mix हो रहा है. ऐसा एक hint मिलता है इसको, है ना? And you say that it is better because उसको हमको audience मिल जाता है and recognition मिल जाता है and stuff like that, है ना? So this is a fair enough, and you have spoken about this, you know, co-production matlab there are two different cultures involved, you know, two different audiences involved, two different storytelling methods involved, people, paisa, two different money technicians involved, where we can learn from each other and stuff like that. Everyone, you can learn new things and stuff like that, you know. Different talents, no? Not only different cultures, but culture का different talents भी आ जाता है. That we can learn something from the the foreign crew and stuff like that. So ये मुझे this is becomes important for me. The Lunchbox mixes or the co-production film mixes Indian culture with international storytelling. है ना? This point for me personally it becomes very crucial because ये क्या है? International storytelling क्या है ना? तो ये थोड़ा सा अगर आप define कर देते हैं मुझे अभी नहीं but for the writer and you would be having something when you say international storytelling एक internationally एक storytelling का एक format होता है probably I'm not sure. What do you mean by international storytelling?
मतलब एक ऐसा तरीका जो कहना मुश्किल है सर.
हाँ तो वो थोड़ा सा सोचना पड़ता है but this is a very valid point but I would need some more detailing of this, है ना? This is very valid point. अब मेरा एक स्टोरी टेलिंग है which I told last time. मेरा एक स्टोरी टेलिंग का लैंग्वेज है and इंटरनेशनल का एक लैंग्वेज है probably. एक तो पहली बात है what is this language and today how do I mix these two, है ना? Which is what the theme of your write-up is, है ना? that दो कल्चर्स मिक्स हो जाते हैं, दो लैंग्वेजेस मिक्स हो जाता है. अगर इसको थोड़ा सा एलॉबरेट करता ना ये मजा आ जाता. बट अदरवाइज आपका जिस्ट जो है ना this is well thought of, you know, write up. Thank you. Jitin, is Jitin there?
सर जितिन का मुझे अभी मैसेज आया था तो फिर उन्होंने कहा कि वो अभी क्लास नहीं अटेंड कर पाएंगे.
अच्छा तो जितिन है, जितिन का नहीं है. नमन, is Naman there? Yes, Naman is there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Naman, hi.
Hi, sir. Today actually is my first day in the session, and
Hello.
unfortunately, I was hello,
Yeah.
hello, Tanvi. Hello, everyone. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, I was not able to complete the full assignment. So I did little. These are just the pointers, and I
Okay.
was yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, but still,
You read whatever you have written. You know? The
yeah,
first
yes,
first question is about two Indian filmmakers
yes,
who
sir.
you consider as great
Yes,
and
sir.
with 6 to 8 points. You know?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So Rajkumar Hirani, I consider him a great filmmaker because the simplicity and the clarity in his approach towards whatever he is. For example, if it's Munna Bhai or it's Three Idiots.
Pele, you just read what you have written. You know?
Okay, sir.
Then
Yes, sir. The simplicity and the clarity in his approach towards the subject matter of the film, the minimalistic and basic setting in each of his films, the mise en scène, a non-cliche filmmaker being heavily surrounded by the popular mainstream. His way of presentation is quite different from the rest of the filmmakers. He follows his own patterns. His cinema always portrays morals, values, warmth, love, and that's great. There is almost always a social message in his films attached to an important societal issue or a matter. The only filmmaker who has carried the legacy of middle of the road filmmakers like Rishikesh Mukherjee, Basu Chatterjee, Asit Sen, or Satyam Bose. These filmmakers made brilliant films.
Yeah. So we just hold this.
Yes, sir.
So you agree that it's a very sketchy kind of a thing, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you agree this is a very sketchy kind of a thing? Sketchy
Yes,
write-up?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was not able to actually, I didn't have any time. So I was just, these are the pointers. I was going to elaborate on these points properly, but the deadline was 4:30. So,
Okay.
yes, sir.
So you would know that it is not enough to say
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
its simplicity and clarify
Yes, sir.
how is it simple, you know?
I have to give
Or
examples. Yes, sir.
give examples of at least tell what is it. It's
Yes, sir.
what is minimalistic, you know?
Yes, sir.
Basic setting. What do you mean by basic setting? All these kinds of things, no?
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, I wouldn't know.
Yes, sir.
I wouldn't know what is in your mind.
Yes, sir,
It's
the
a non.
production. Yes, sir. I was referring to the production design. The art design is very simple, and they don't. He doesn't spend too much money on the costumes, the sets. You know, it's very simple. He could probably shoot a film in a room. What I meant to say.
Yeah. So if you had mentioned those points there, here
Yes,
and
sir.
there, and that would
Yes,
have
sir.
been a better.
Yes, sir.
For him to be a non-cliche filmmaker, then you have to
Yes,
first
sir.
define what is cliche.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
say
sir.
that popular
Yes, sir.
mainstream has a different presentation,
Yes, sir.
but we need to say what is that, you know? And
Yes, sir.
what does they do that he doesn't do? And
Yes, sir.
it's not sufficient to say he is not
Yes,
cliche,
sir.
you know?
Yes,
Because
sir.
your idea of cliche and my idea of cliche would be different, or everybody's ideas would be
Yes, sir.
different. So it is essential to set your context
Yes,
right.
sir. Yes, sir.
This is cliche. My definition of cliche is this, and Rajkumar Hirani doesn't do that. You know?
Yes, sir.
And therefore I like him. That's kind of a thing.
Yes, sir. What I meant was in 2002 when he made Munna Bhai, 2002, 2003, there was a different kind of cinema being made. Big huge movies about families and there were patterns. You know, ऐसा लग रहा था कि जैसे एक पूरा particular हर चीज typed है. तो when Munna Bhai had a complete fresh breeze, और उन्होंने इंटरव्यू में भी कहा कि he was told to follow certain patterns and certain things, but he didn't. He did whatever he felt like. So my reference, my point of view was this in writing.
Yeah. So this could have been elaborated.
Yes, sir.
In this, you know. So the only filmmaker. So for example, you talk about the middle of the road cinema, you know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now you have to define what is middle of the road cinema. No?
Yes, sir.
So we know, but I know Rishida. I don't know him personally, but I know his films.
Yes, sir.
And I have enjoyed his films. I like his films.
Yes,
I
sir.
watched his films 5 times, 10 times. You know?
Yes, sir.
Basu Chatterjee. I've seen his films and stuff like that. Especially Rishida's Golmaal. You know?
Yes, sir. Satyakam is probably the greatest film ever made.
Yeah. But when I need to know why are you calling him middle of the road? You know? I need to know that.
So yes, sir. My point of view was this, that basically the harsh reality of the life, somewhere he poured the mainstream in that reality, and he presented in a way that would not make you feel very bad about it. At the same time, realize you that this is the thing, and you need to deal it like this, and this can be dealt with a lighter tone. So I think his cinema was like about that only. Most
Yeah,
of his films.
absolutely. And when you think about it, Irani's film is also
Yes,
uses the
sir.
same
Yes,
same
sir.
template.
Same
And
pattern. The
yeah,
only filmmaker.
yeah, absolutely right. But that's not coming across right now in your
Yes, sir. I
in
get your point,
your
sir.
write-up, you know.
Yes, sir.
So we'll go for the next one, Vishal Bharadwaj.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I consider Vishal Bharadwaj a great filmmaker because the rawness, the raw originality in his cinema, and the fact that almost of his films are based on acclaimed literature, which gives a lot of richness to the story. He also is also a very non-conventional filmmaker in his way of presentation. Being despite being surrounded by the popular mainstream, he does not follow a pattern. Every new film he directs is quite different from his earlier film because he has a great sense of music, and the fact that he composes occasionally, his films also offer some good music. And the fact
Yeah.
that he always teams up with Gulzar Saab in his films, either in dialogues or songs, which brings so much quality to his films.
So these are valid points, but as I
Yes,
told
sir.
you, this needs to be expanded, and I need to know more about these points. You know?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you didn't have time to write the whole thing, but I can
Yes, sir.
understand. For example, you have to write uh, the fact that he teams up with Gulzar doesn't make his film great.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have to
Ah.
elaborate why and how.
So if he is teaming up with Gulzar, what is the result
sir.
of that? And that result
Yes,
is
sir.
making the film great. I mean, if this
Yes,
is your
sir.
logic, then that has to be proved.
Yes, sir.
What I might agree or might not agree, you know.
Yes, sir.
But
Yes, sir.
that there's a logic to it, then I understand, you know.
Yes,
So
sir.
that logic right now in none of these points it is coming across, and you know why is the reason, you know?
Yes, sir. So
That you didn't have.
the first point, the rawness. For example, if we talk about Omkara, the characters, how they have how they talk, the character of Langla or all those characters, Omi Bhai or whoever. So how they are talking, the nuances, the region they are talking, they are in, the setting, everything is portrayed so originally that rawness. What I mean to say is that it is not fabricated a lot. They have tried to keep it original, the setting. That is what I meant by the rawness. And the fact that his films are based on literature, almost all his films, either Omkara is based on Othello, Heather is based on Hamlet, Makbul is based on Macbeth. So and Ruskin Bond के भी उन्होंने Susanna's Seven Husband वगैरह, The Umbrella, Blue Umbrella वगैरह, तो सब literature पर ही based है more or less. उनका कुछ भी बहुत कम काम है जो बिना literature के हुआ है. तो वो एक point था.
And literature से adapt करने में क्या मतलब, why does it make it great, है ना?
Yes, sir. So I think filmmakers who adapt, they have an advantage because the literature already very good in nature, is already acclaimed, and you have everything in front of you. You just have to make it right according to your vision for the screenplay.
Yeah. So those things needs to be explained, you know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I get your point, sir. And I think he is also a very unconventional filmmaker, and he's also heavily surrounded by all the main popular mainstream, I mean all the Bollywood stuff, but still I think his films are different and he does not follow a pattern. I think even the films which are based on literature by Shakespeare, even in those films it's quite different every single film, obviously, I mean. And he has a sense of music, and he composes for in Gulzar Saab's marches also he composed the music. So he has a sense of music in his films generally good. So that was
so cool. So you know what is to be done with his answer.
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah.
Sir.
So next time when you come, then you'd be
Yes,
more.
sir.
So we'll go for the next one. Indian filmmakers, 6 to 8 points.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Satyajit Ray, it's actually by mistake I've written. It's the spelling is it's Manikda actually. Really sorry for that. So I consider Manikda a great filmmaker because of these reasons. So he also, I think his approach also about when I watched Pather Panchali. So his approach is also very simple about making films. His minimalistic way of making films, the approach towards his characters in a story, his involvement in all the departments of the film, be it cinematography, a lot of times he did the camera work, the production design, the art design, he really goes for it. I mean, the songs of his films, he made sure that he gets what he wanted. His unusual way of writing a script using storyboards, sketching a scene with characters, which is not used much currently. His ability to work with non-actors. His films offered truth, love, warmth, sometimes the harsh reality of life. But whatever the films offered, they offered with a lot of honesty. and the sensitivity of emotions in his films. I think his films are very sensitive in nature.
Yeah. So this ability to work with non-actors
Yes, sir.
brought in a freshness in his films and an authenticity in his films. You know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, these are fair points, but these needs a little bit of elaboration, as you.
Yes, sir. I will do that, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Fair,
sir.
fair enough. Fair enough. You know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We will
Uh,
go for Ritvik.
Yes, sir. In Ghatak's films, so Ritvik Ghatak's films are not readily available everywhere. It's very difficult to get a Ghatak film. So the only film is available everywhere is Mege Dhaka Tara. So whatever I have, मोटा मोटी जो भी लिया है वहीं से, मतलब I've seen that film काफी बार, तो वहीं से थोड़ा बहुत मैंने डाला है इसमें, मतलब सोच के. So his different take on the cinema, he used it as a medium to make a change in the society and not for any kind of profit from it. His cinema was never monotonous. His cinema always offered originality. One of the earliest filmmakers to talk about women, his film Mege Dhaka Tara is a fine example of it. And there are also a lot of context in it. His ability to put up the stark reality of society in his films, and that too with so much ease. So इसमें मैं सर elaborate करता हूँ थोड़ा सा आपको यहाँ पे. So basically, what I meant by his cinema was never monotonous. If you watch Mege Dhaka Tara, although the story is very serious, very tightly gripped, and बहुत ज्यादा मतलब आप कहीं पे दुख है हर जगह, but the same time आपको लग रहा है कि आर्ट फिल्म की स्टोरी है, बहुत ज्यादा आर्टिस्टिक उस तरीके से, या बहुत ज्यादा पैरेलल सिनेमा वाली स्टोरी है, बट आप कहीं पे भी वो एक मोनोटोनस चीज नहीं आ रही, कहीं पे बोर नहीं हो रहे हैं, और कहीं पे जैसे उसके साथ कुछ बुरा हो रहा है तो वहां विप्लैश की आवाज आ रही है, या कोई बहुत सारी चीजें ऐसी हैं जो उन्होंने इस्तेमाल करी जिससे आप बोर नहीं हो रहे हैं फिल्म में. तो मैंने कई बार ऑब्जर्व किया, बार बार देखने की कोशिश करी, तो उनका सिनेमा मोनोटोनस नहीं था. और दूसरी बात, ओरिजिनलिटी की बात, मतलब मैं ये कहना चाह रहा था कि जो भी कैरेक्टर्स हैं फिल्म में, वो इतने बढ़िया तरीके से डेवलप्ड हैं कि आप पूरा बिलीव कर पाते हो उन पे, वो इतने ओरिजिनल हैं, इतने ज्यादा डेवलप्ड हैं. तो आई मेंट दैट बाय दिस पॉइंट. एंड मेके डाका तारा इसने पहले समय पे बनी, और तब भी इट रिवॉल्व्ड अराउंड नीता ओनली. मोटा मोटी द होल फिल्म इज अबाउट नीता. सो हर स्ट्रगल एंड हाउ हर लाइफ गोज, एंड लास्ट में जो भी होता है. एंड एट द सेम टाइम उसके बाद में जो फिल्में आई हैं, सुवर्ण रेखा, जन अरण्य तो उनकी नहीं, जन अरण्य उनकी नहीं है, किस जन अरण्य शायद रे की फिल्म. जी. तो
अजांत्रिक,
हाँ, अजंत्रिक, एंड वो जो सारी फिल्में, तो इस एबिलिटी टू पुट अप द स्टार्क रियलिटी ऑफ सोसाइटी इन हिज फिल्म्स, एंड दैट टू विद सो मच इज, मतलब कोई भी फिल्म जो घटक की आप देखेंगे तो उसमें मतलब जो भी सीरियसनेस है वो उन्होंने इतनी, मतलब ऐसे कह दिया कि बिल्कुल आप एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर रहे थे, अचानक से सामने आ गया, एंड यू आर एक्सेप्टिंग इट नाउ.
ट्रू, वेरी ट्रू. So,
and also this point that he wrote Madhumati, I didn't know when I saw Madhumati and I was reading the credits, I was almost shocked कि मतलब मेन स्ट्रीम की फिल्म में भी उन्होंने कुछ लिखा है. और फिर ऋषिकेश मुखर्जी की जो पहली फिल्म थी मुसाफिर 1957 में, जो कि इंडिया की पहली एंथोलॉजी फिल्म भी है, तो उसमें भी ऋत्विक घटक was one of the writers. So that is just wonderful, I mean.
Yeah. So you know what to do. You got your thought process clear.
Yes, sir.
But you need to elaborate it. You know, it's not, as you said, it's not enough.
Yes,
you've
sir.
given an example of why his cinema was never monotonous. And
Yes, sir.
You say there is this whiplashes used, you know, for
Yes,
example,
sir.
and therefore
Yes,
it
sir.
makes it. So these kinds of
Yes,
things
sir.
I'm looking at, you know. So
Yes, sir.
I'm not impressed by just saying that Ritwik Ghatak is a great filmmaker,
Yes, sir.
or Ritwik Ghatak offers originality. I want to know what is
Yes,
that
sir.
originality.
Yes, sir. There's a lot of things to be said here.
Yeah.
Sir, I wanted to ask you, sir. I will. So I was going to elaborate on all these points, but still, I will write a lot of stuff. But I don't want to use, flowery words sometimes. So I want to be very straightforward. Is that okay with the answers?
Absolutely. It's your choice.
Okay, sir.
It's your choice, you know.
Okay, sir.
It's your choice, you know. And it's your logic, you know. What I'm looking at is your logic and is your
Yes,
choice.
sir.
Filmmaking is a choice.
Yes, sir.
Instead of a whiplash, you could have used music. You didn't use music.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
used
sir.
whiplash. It's a choice that is being made, and it's a choice.
Yes,
Life
sir.
is a choice, you know.
Yes, sir.
You choose something, you live something.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Great. It was nice talking to you.
Sir,
Guys,
sir, I had
yeah.
also written about the rest of the two things, but I was not able to send them. Should I just read them, or?
No, it's okay. But
About
I,
Kurosawa and Chaplin. So it's not
no,
much.
it's okay.
Okay.
It's also the same, no, point wise.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
But just the point is.
I'm sure you have valid reasons. All of you have valid reasons, valid points. It is just that when you're expressing it in on writing,
Yes, sir.
so then it needs to be a little bit precise.
Yes,
I
sir.
think you got a fair idea of what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. I got you
these
right.
two- in these
Yes,
two
sir.
examples.
I've also noted down all the things you said, so I
Yeah,
will work
yeah.
on that.
Yeah, this is not to belittle the thought process that you have.
Yes,
My
sir.
interest is your thought process has to come out on paper.
Come out on the paper.
If it
Yes,
doesn't
sir.
come out, your thought process would not come out on film.
Yes, sir. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that
sir.
is the practice. है ना?
Yes, sir.
Your practice as a filmmaker starts now. है ना?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
So, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Guys, we'll end it 9/7. I'll stop share this and I will stop the recording. Where is that recording gone? Pause recording or no, recording is stopped. Are you sure you want to stop recording on the cloud? Yes.